I'd like to welcome you all to the House of Reawakening Minds, and our illustrious teacher tonight is Brother Abdullah Bey. Let's receive him.
Wow, everyone. For those of you, this book's been out for about the 13th month. Moors and Masonry. To get my book, go to moorsandmasonry.org. moorsandmasonry.org to get the book. This is the back cover. This is the depiction of true history. Robert Davis, professor of Italian Renaissance history at Ohio State University, writes, "The enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization that is central to the scholarship of early modern era." My main topic for tonight, before I get into it, is why is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Morocco, and the United States of 1787 the most important document in United States history? Back in, in the spring, I thought about writing an open letter to the director of the National Constitution Center, which I'm going to be doing. I've already begun the letter, so as to put this Moorish movement in the mainstream and give it national attention. The National Constitution Center at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is a mainstream institution. I will write the letter, recommending that the director put an exhibit honoring the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And this will be a great opportunity for the Constitution Center to educate the children throughout the Delaware Valley, as they have class trips there on a daily basis. I want to take that approach. You know, how great it would be to have an exhibit honoring the most important document in United States history. So before I get into that, I'm going to just give an overview. Now, read the introduction to my upcoming book. Go back to this. Put this in front of you. My upcoming book, Masonic Compass of Square and the Connection to Timekeeping and Measurement. Look, they have that out around May this year. Masonic Compass of Square and the Connection to Timekeeping and Measurement. This is an introduction to the book. The compass is square, geometry in the phrase laws of nature, nature's God, written in the Declaration of Independence. The purpose of this book is to present Masonry in its proper astronomical, geometrical, and mind development perspective. The general public is not aware that the symbols, quote unquote symbols, used in Masonry are in fact measurement devices used for surveying land, charting the summer and winter solstices, charting the alignment of Orion, Taurus, and Pleiades, and the rising of Sirius on July 4th, marking the Egyptian New Year. In Masonic lodges, Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, is known as the burning star. In his book, Morals and Dogma, Albert Pike discusses the significance of Sirius. Quote, ancient astronomers saw all the great symbols of Masonry in the stars. Sirius shines in our country houses like the flaming star, end quote. The reader will also learn that the most celebrated ceremony in Masonry, St. John's Day on June 24th, is tied to the summer solstice on June 21st. On June 21st, in the northern hemisphere, the sun is at its highest point of elevation and his furthest northern position from the horizon, at which time the sun stops its apparent motion. The etymology of solstice is sol, Latin for sun, and stis, Latin for stand. The sun's apparent motion stops for 3 days: June 21st, June 22nd, June 23rd. June 21st, June 22nd, June 23rd. On June 24th, the sun begins his apparent suddenly motion. During the St. John's Day celebration, the Masons lay the cornerstone or keystone in the northeast. The northeast is the apparent rise of the sun on June 21st, marking the summer solstice. Further, the reader will learn that the tilted cross used by the Knights Templar point to this, go to this, point to this tilted cross. Further, the reader will learn that the tilted cross used by the Knights Templar is positioned at a 23.5 degree angle and represent the pass it around to let them point out the tilted cross. Further, the reader will learn that the tilted cross used by the Knights Templar is positioned at a 23.5 degree angle and represents the possession of the equinoxes. The public has been given a distorted view of Masonry and thereby are afraid of the quote-unquote symbols. The people have been told that Masonry is the worship of the devil, Satan, and Lucifer. The people have been told that Masonry, this astronomical approach to teaching Masonry will raise the mental frequency of humanity and inspire the people to have a greater respect and appreciation for nature and womanhood. Masonry is the science of nature and the cosmic laws that maintain the natural order of the universe. The 7 cosmic laws of Tahuti are cause and effect, rhythm, mentalism, correspondence, polarity, vibration, and gender. The name Jew is a modern English transliteration of the Egyptian name Djehouti, D-J-E-H-U-T-Y, or D-J-E-H-W-T-Y. The Greek name Hermes is a substitute for the Egyptian name Djehouti. The Roman name Mercury is a replacement for the Egyptian name Tahuti. Today, the descendants of European settlers of Moorish land, English, Welsh, Irish, Scottish, German, Dutch, French, Polish, Russian, Italian, etc., benefit from the vast knowledge that the Moors taught Europeans while Moors ruled Europe during the medieval period / Middle Ages, 711 to 1492. The Moors studied and applied the principles of nature to establish civilization and government, order, and society. The Moors taught the Europeans this high culture science of nature in the longhouses, which today are called Masonic lodges. The European Masons and of the United States, in turn, applied Moorish science in the Declaration of Independence as expressed in the phrase laws of nature and nature's God. The European Masons of the United States also used the ancient Moorish symbol, the composite square, as a guide to apply Moorish constitutional law principles rooted in nature as to maintain order, harmony, balance, and equality, and equity, and exercising Moorish legislative power, power to make law, Moorish judicial power, power to interpret law, and Moorish executive power, power to enforce law. And the Moorish government currently functioned by the United States colonial power and trusteeship capacity. All right. This is chapter 1, introduction to chapter 1. Chapter 1 is titled, The European Masons and Knights, the Stolen Legacy of the Moorish Estate. The European Masons and Knights, the Stolen Legacy of the Moorish Estate. The long history of battles, diplomacy, letters, treaties, captivity, ransom payments, and seizing of ships between the Moors and Europeans has been preserved by the European Masons and Knight orders. The European Shriners and grottos have annual parades celebrating the defeat of the Moors. They also don the Moorish royal crown of rulership known as the fez, symbolizing that they now exercise the Moorish sovereign power. You will also notice when looking at the Moorish fez worn by European Shriners and grottos, Moorish names embroidered on the fezes. These are the Moorish names that the European Knights, Shriners, and grottos have adopted for dead names of their temples. Today, European Knights orders function as charity institutions. The origin of their military purpose in battles against the Moors and Turks is not yet known to the general public. The 4 main Knight orders that were formed during the Crusades to fight against the Moors and Turks are Knights of St. John's of Jerusalem, 1113, the Knights Templar, 1119, Knights of Calatrava, 1158, and Knights of St. James, 1170, and the Knights of Alexandria. A very popular order today, Knights of Malta, was established in the 11th century as the Knights of Hospitaller. The Knights of Malta has 13,500 knights and dames as members of its order. Cosimo I de' Medici, first Grand Duke of Tuscany, created the Knights of St. Stephen's in 1561 as a military order to fight against the Moors. Today, the Knight orders function as charity orders, but their origin extends back to their battles with the Moors. The history of why they were established is not known to the general public. Many charitable associations were established during the 12th and 13th centuries to negotiate the ransom of impoverished European captives held in Moorish and Turkish captivity. Jean de Matha, the Matha High School, Baltimore, he's a founder. Matha High School, he's a founder of the Trinitarian. All right, founded the Order of the Holy Trinity and redemption of captives in 1199. This relates to us. Like I said, there's no European history outside of us. There's no European history outside of us, family. To talk European history, and you're not talking about the Moors. I mean, I'm not talking about Moors being in chains. I'm talking about Moors being rulers. As rulers, then I don't know what history you're talking about. I don't know what history you're talking about. I just don't know what history you're talking about. The Knights, all right. Pope Innocent III approved the order in 1198. The order is known in France as Mathrians or Donkey Brother. Stanley Lane Poole and James Douglas Gerard Kelly in the Barbary Corsairs give accounts of the order's ransoming Europeans held in Moorish captivity. Quote, Mather's first voyage, 1199, brought back 186 captives, and in succeeding generations, some 20,000 slaves were rescued by the good fathers, clad in their white robes with blue and red cross on the breast, 3 collars symbolical of the 3 persons fiercely confronted the corsairs and bartered for the captives' ransom. The order of the Virgin Mary of Mercy of the redemption of captives, also known as Our Lady of Ransom, was established in 1218 by Peter Nolasco in Barcelona for the redemption of Europeans held in Moorish and Turkish captivity. The order's members are known as Mercedarians, friars, and nuns. Friars means brother. The word friar, F-R-I-A-R, is French for brother. Frater, Latin, friar, French. English transliteration, brother. All right, friar means brother. All right. In 1236, Pope Gregory IX granted the Mercedarian formal recognition as religious orders under the old rule of St. Augustine. The order exists today in 17 countries. An extensive history of the Mercedarians can be found in the Order of the Blessed Virgin Mary of Mercy, 1218 to 1992. Historical synthesis. Historical institution of Mercedarian Order, Mercedarian Library 6. The order has several names: Order of the Mercy of Captives, Order of the Redemption of Captives, and the Order of the Virgin Mary of Mercy of the Redemption of Captives. James William Brodman. James Brodman, he's retired now, professor of history at University of Central Arkansas. He's done extensive research in this area. Professor James William Brodman, Central Arkansas. All right? In his book, Ransom Captives in Crusade Spain, the Order of Moors on the Christian Islamic Frontier, documents the captivity research by the 14th century historian Ibn Khaldun, 1332 to 1406. I'll end there. All right? So this is chapter 1. I go into what I wanted to do was give an overview of history, because you may have some Masons who may not get this, have this book. I'll market it with the Masonic Conference Square books. I wanted to give them a very, overview of history. I have the court case that I talked about. I said, remember 1919, a local chapter of the European Shriners of Houston, Texas, sued the local chapter of the Brothers Shriners. All right, they sought an injunction forbid the brothers from wearing their own Moorish fezzes, own Moorish regalia, own Moorish names. All right, so I talked about that, and I put that in the context of, in 1567, Philip II issued a bull putting Moors under Spanish rule, forbidding the Moors to speak Arabic, wearing their Moorish turban and fezzes, wearing their Moorish garbs. Moors were using their Moorish names and titles. 1567. Moors were given names like Rodriguez, Vasquez, those names. So it wasn't Smith, Jones, and Johnson, because we talk about Argyle and Castile. Those who are classified as Spanish, they're not Spanish. You don't know any Spanish people. You don't know any Spanish people. You didn't grow up with any Spanish people. You didn't grow up with any Latinos. You didn't grow up with any Puerto Ricans. Those Argentina and Colombia, those are modern states. That's not their pedigree. They're not Colombian by pedigree and bloodline. They're not Argentine by pedigree and bloodline. They're not Peruvians. They're not Dominicans. Dominican is Saint Dominique. Saint Dominique. So what, they Saint Dominique? Dominican. You said they're Dominicans. That's not their pedigree. That's not their lineage, ancestry. Their ancestry, lineage are Moors. They're no less Moors than you are. They're no less Moors than you are. It's not the Moors and the Spanish. No. There's Moors classified as black, nigger, colored, African Americans, and Moors classified as Spanish, Latino, Puerto Rican. That's it. They're no less they were brought under Spanish rule and given names like Rodriguez and Vasquez and Velez and all right. That's all. We just don't know the history. And our not knowing the history empowers the Europeans. The Europeans' power comes from our ignorance. Period. That's their power. Our ignorance is their power. That's why I dedicated most of my adult life to writing. Our ignorance is their power. How you gonna have a race riot with Moors classified as blacks and Moors classified? You can't. There's no such thing as no race riot when we're the same people. Yeah, the blacks and the Spanish fighting. It's a race riot. Lie. That's a false paradigm. It's no race. We're the same people. They're no less Moors than we are. It's just we don't know the history. The history is very important. All right. Any questions before I go on?
What article was that?
This is excerpt from my book. So I came in late.
Yeah, no, you said it's in your book, but I just wanted to know what article was it. The article that you said that you was talking about in 1557.
Oh, court case. You talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, court case.
Yeah.
Court case. The court. It actually went to the Supreme Court. Court case between ancient Egyptian order of the nobles and Mr. Shrine versus the ancient Arabic order of the nobles and Mr. Shrine versus the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of the nobles and Mr. Shrine. Ancient Arabic order of the nobles of Mr. Shrine that's the Europeans, versus the ancient Egyptian, that's brothers, ancient Egyptian Arabic order, or the nobles, Mr. Shrine, Prince Hall Masons. That's Prince Hall Shriners. That's the brothers. The European established the order in 1872. The brothers established in 1892.
Yeah.
And the brothers, were wearing wearing the Moorish fez and using the Moorish names and wearing the Moorish regalia, and they were doing it for about 30 years, until the local chapter at Houston, Texas, sought an injunction. But the fez doesn't belong to the Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Europeans never made the claim that the fez belonged to them by birthright. The Europeans were saying because they used it first. I'm talking about Europeans' claim. Their claim in seeking the injunction was that they used it first. Now, you see how arrogant Europeans are? Europeans are so arrogant. Why? Because they know that we're ignorant. They know that we're ignorant. They knew that the brothers didn't know that the fez belonged to them. And the brothers never made the birthright claim. The brothers never made the birthright claim. The brothers' claim was that they had a right to establish a charitable organization based on the Act of Congress of May 5th of 1871. They said that their right comes from the Act of Congress of May 5th, 1871. The brothers never made a birthright claim. They never counter-sued the Europeans and sought an injunction against the Europeans, forbidding the Europeans from wearing their own Moorish fezzes, using their own Moorish names, using the Moorish regalia. I'm urging the brothers to do it today. The brothers can do it today. The brothers can sue the Europeans, seek an injunction forbidding the Europeans from wearing their Moorish fezzes, Moorish headdress, turbans, which the Europeans do too, using Moorish names, Moorish regalia. But why don't the brothers do that? Why don't the brothers do that? Brothers don't know. So the brothers still think it belongs to the Europeans. They still think it belongs to the Europeans. Europeans still have this power over us. Why are the Europeans wearing our fezzes? Why are the Europeans wearing our fezzes? Why are they on TV? Why are Europeans wearing our fezzes on TV? Shriners commercial. Why Europeans got, as you know, they have, when you get this blanket, when you give the donation, you get this blanket with the bear, with the fez on it. What did they have in front of Shriners Hospital? A European carrying holding up a child, wearing your Moorish fez. They're so bold. They're so confident that you're ignorant. They're so confident that you're ignorant that they wear your own fez in front of your own face, on TV, in parades, by the thousands. They know we don't know. We so smoked in the head. Wearing our fezzes in front of our face. And going to tell Europeans are so arrogant, they'll tell you to take your own fez off. Excuse me. You a Shriner? No. I'm not a Shriner. Oh, why you ask me that? I'm not a Shriner. Okay. Why you ask me I'm a Shriner? Because you're wearing the Shriner's hat. And I'm going to ask you, are you a Moor? I'm going to ask you what? Are you a Shriner? Why? When I was at the parade in 2013, 5-year-old girl, hundreds of Europeans wearing your faces, parading. Hundreds. All over the country. From all over the country. 5-year-old little girl, I was Ustreaming it. She says, "Look, mommy, they're wearing the Shriner's hat." 5-year-old girl been socialized. So when you're that same 5-year-old girl, now she's probably what, 2013, what, it was 5 years ago, she's 10 now. And you have your Moorish fez on. That 10-year-old girl now was once 5 years ago. Sir, you a Shriner? Now why did she want to ask you a Shriner? Because her mom took her to the parade. And she saw hundreds of European males wear your Moorish fez. They associate those Moors, she's conditioned to associate the fez with Europeans and also the Shriners. So don't associate the fez with Moors. We got a lot of work to do. All right. Moving right along. Christmas. Who celebrated Christmas? I'm going to ask the question again. Maybe they didn't hear me.
I'm gonna stay quiet on this one. You explain.
Maybe they didn't hear me. Let me ask the question again. Christmas. I'll make the statement. Who celebrated Christmas? I don't, brother. This he's the only man that celebrated Christmas?
No, my hands up.
Oh,
But I ain't call it Christmas. I ain't call it Christmas. I call it winter celeste.
well, that's 4 days before. They're not the same. Not the same. Christmas and winter solstice is not the same. I mean, I'll explain.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because you said you didn't call it Christmas. It's not the same. They're not the same astronomically. Right. So we have two that celebrated Christmas. All right, so I don't want to put people on the spot, but for those who didn't celebrate Christmas, why didn't y'all celebrate Christmas? I don't know what the commercialized part is.
Shot fired is a gift. Was this not the same answer? Same.
I said, did you celebrate Christmas? I mean, the commercial. Well, I got to qualify it? I didn't think I had to qualify it. I said, did you celebrate Christmas? I didn't think I had to qualify it. You either celebrated or you didn't. Yes, you said, Dr. Nailah, you had your head on? Now, all right, why didn't you celebrate Christmas?
That's a good question.
I think so.
I wish I had an answer.
All right, we move on to the next one. Why didn't you celebrate Christmas?
Starting to do a different change, different routine in my home versus what I used to seeing. So now that I'm
All right, so why the need for the change?
because I'm changing myself. So I feel as though the psychologically.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you change yourself. And
Psychological welfare I've been going through my whole life.
psychological welfare. So you're implying that when you were celebrating it, was psychological welfare.
Well, what I mean by that is I was changing.
You said it, but
I was changing
All right.
as a person, individual, and I just felt that church was not I mean, not the church. Christmas, celebrating Christmas wasn't, the thing that I wanted to teach my kids, my children, about buying gifts and all that type of thing. So I've been just changing all of that whole Christmas celebration theory.
All right. Why didn't you celebrate Christmas, man?
It's been corrupted.
All right, so let me make sure. Hold on. All right. Hold on. You have a Moorish fez? Will you ever purchase a Moorish fez and wear it? But Europeans wear it. Why would you wear a Moorish fez? Why would you wear a Moorish fez when the Europeans wear it? Don't you know that the Europeans wear your fez, and you know that Europeans, they put the crescent, the star with the scimitar above it, and they wear the Moorish fez on commercials. So why would you purchase a Moorish fez?
Good question.
You said I'm trying to use logic. I'm just trying to use logic. You said that you don't celebrate Christmas because it's been corrupted. So I said, then I said, I'm just trying to use this logic here. Well, Europeans wear our fez. Well, why would you ever wear the Moorish fez when the Europeans wear it?
You're right. I'm right. Exactly right.
Does not celebrate something because they corrupted it. Well, they wear your fez, so why would you wear a Moorish fez?
You're right using that logic, yeah.
That's all. Because they corrupted it means what? You no longer celebrate it? I don't get it. All right, let me move on. Why didn't we celebrate Christmas, man?
Technically, I did.
All
I
right.
just didn't want to raise my hand. I got small kids, so I shop, but we don't have the tree in our house. So
Next, you'll get one next. You'll get one next time. After today, you'll get one next time. Well, trust me, you'll get one next time. You'll get one next time. Yeah.
I thought you're not supposed to get a tree. You take your life and chop.
You'll get one next time. Well, you could do. That's fine, but it's symbolic of the world axis. We'll get into that. All right. Anyone else? All right. Let me go into it. You want to? You celebrated it. So.
Yeah.
All right. Can you tell us why you celebrated it, brother?
The rising of the sun.
That's the part
No.
Well, you say you didn't celebrate Christmas. What that mean? What this?
can I ask a question about that?
Go ahead.
You said June 24th is when the sun starts its incline. June 24th.
Decline.
December 21st, decline. 22nd, 23rd, 24th, then it starts its rise on the 25th, right? Christmas, we're talking.
You said June though.
Well, right, when you were talking about June, you were saying the sun was stationary for 3 days as well.
Right, it's decline though. It's decline though.
Oh, at the decline.
Decline. It's getting shorter. Things getting shorter. The Christmas is the incline.
Gotcha.
Things getting longer.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that happens twice a year.
There's 2 points where the sun is at its what's it called? Extreme point. All right? Yes, twice a year. 2 points.
This is apex.
Yes, at its apex. All right? Its apex furthest north. All right? And then this furthest southern point.
All right.
All right? I'll explain it. All right? Now, let's talk. All right, Christmas. What is Christmas? As he says, it's the rising of the sun. It's the rising of the sun or the birth of the sun. All right? Because the Europeans commercialized it, we talk about the astronomy of it. Take it back. Take it back.
All right, but would you still call it Christmas?
Yes, it's Egyptian, Kalas, Sanskrit, because it's not a European word. There's no word that ever came out your mouth of European origin, English origin, Teutonic origin, German origin, there's no word that ever came out your mouth of dramatic origin, about the origin of it. So kataras is the oil that's secreted in the brain. All right, so Christianity, they call it the ceremony. We have the ceremony of the resurrection. And that resurrection is what? Here, in the mind. So the karas is the oil. So to be anointed is to have the oil secreted in the brain. The sun stimulates the serotonin and melatonin in the brain. Has nothing to do with belief. Has everything to do with the physiology of the brain. Talk about physiology now. Physiology of the brain. So we talk Christianity. That's the physiology of the brain. Has nothing to do with belief. The Europeans corrupted it. Took it out of its real original application. It's not a political system. I'm talking about its origin. So they got us, versus the cross, versus the crescent and the star. That's a false paradigm. But let me just clarify Christmas first. All right. There are 2 points. There are 2 pillars. You'll see this in South America. New Grange, Stonehenge. All right. Stonehenge are there marks the summer solstice and winter solstice. All right. This is ancient. There are astronomical sites throughout the world that mark the summer solstice and winter solstice. So you have the 2 pillars, the 2 solar pillars of Boaz, this was they used in masonry, and Jachin. Boaz, summer solstice, June 21st in the Northern Hemisphere. June 21st in the Northern Hemisphere. And Jachin, winter solstice. These are 2 points where the sun is at its extreme point. The sun, we know that the sun doesn't move, so it's the apparent motion of the sun. It's at its extreme northerly point, all right? And that's extreme southerly point. Now, when the sun is at its extreme southerly point, it's called the sun dying on the cross, or Jesus dying on the cross. All right? There's a book called The 16 Crucified Saviors by Percy Graves. So the concept of a crucified Savior, soli victus, they're called the conquering sun. Saturnalia, when the sun is in what? Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, Saturnalia. Mithra, the day of Mithra, or Mithraean rite. Mithra is what's called a solar deity. Apollo, Dionysus, Krishna, Buddha, Confucius. These are solar deities. The same story. What the Europeans did was co-opted it and Europeanized the image. They didn't start this death and resurrection. Dying, death, and resurrection. So Jesus dies on the cross on December 21st every year. Every year. Every year. And what? Hovers for 3 days, or lies 3 days in the tomb, and is what? Born again. The days are now getting longer, incrementally. You can see it. It's not a belief, it's a knowing. It's a knowing. What I'm saying can be verified. What I'm saying to you can be verified. You can verify whether I'm lying or not based on pure math. You look at the calculation of the days of the rising of the sun
And you'll see what the sun, the days of the length of the days are getting longer incrementally. 25th, 26th, 27th, from the 25th to December 25th to say January 4th, January 7th. That's a 2-week point. All right, so you do every 2 weeks, you'll see an incremental increase of say 10 minutes. And the days are getting longer. So 30 days, 90 days later, the sun is on the equator. So there's what? About 12 hours and 51 minutes of daylight. All right, that's called the vernal equinox. The sun crosses the equator at 2 points. The vernal equinox on March 21st and the autumnal equinox September 23rd. Those are 2 points where the sun crosses the equator. It has nothing to do with belief. This was determined thousands of years ago. And not before the Europeans. The Europeans are just co-opting it. We're talking about the astronomy. This is Christmas. Christmas is the what? There you go. After dying. Or being hung on the cross. So they use the concept of baby Jesus. Because it's what? A new birth. That's Christmas. Whether you celebrate or not, that's still going to happen. It don't need you to celebrate it. Now, we did celebrate it, and we what? We had what? An elaborate celebration that lasted 2 weeks, not 1 day. And what? Gave out gifts. I ain't talking about paying thousands of gifts. We made gifts. So the practice of gift giving did not start with Europeans. They commercialized it, yes. They commercialized it. Now, because they corrupted it, that means what? You're not going to celebrate it? Well, don't wear the feathers then. You better have that feathers on. Because they wear it. I'm just trying to follow logic. You said you're not going to celebrate because Europeans corrupted it. Well, don't wear the feathers because Europeans wear it. Well, you're not going to wear the feathers because Europeans wear it? I'm just saying. You're not going to wear the apron because Europeans wear it? I mean, Europeans got your stuff, so what, you're not going to do anything? Stop breathing. European breathing. I'm just saying you're not going to do anything? Everything the Europeans got, they got from you. So you're not going to do anything? I'm just trying to follow logic. They have nothing that they established. Nothing they established. They have no culture that they established. Fam, they were dying of diseases under Roderick, king of the Visigoths, before we took over the 7-Eleven. They were dying of diseases by the thousands. The Visigoths called on the Moors for help. Europeans were taught by the clergy that it was an act, that would be an act of piety to not take a bath. To stink was an act. I'm dead serious. I know it sounds. It might be sound. I might sound so far out there, but I ain't sound. Brother, this was the deal. See, you don't look at the Europeans right now. We know that Europeans take baths and stuff. Brother, don't go by now. They didn't take baths, fam. They did not bathe. The aristocrats bathed once a week or maybe once a month. There were very few public bathhouses. Europeans were dying by the large numbers. Filth, diseases. They were ravaged with diseases. Who saved the Europeans? The Lord. Thank you. They didn't save themselves. That's a lie. They did not save themselves. We saved them. Public baths. Taught them how to bathe. cleanliness, horticulture, botany, zoology, surgery, bookstores, textile industry. We built Europe up, and today the Europeans are benefiting from what you did. There's no European curriculum in any institution in Europe. No European curriculum does not exist. Why? It's a Moorish curriculum. Doesn't exist. They translated botany books, surgery treatises, astronomy, trigonometry books, horticulture, from Arabic to Latin, philosophy, geometry. Name no European curriculum. You can't go to Oxford and learn no European curriculum. You can't go to Oxford. Cambridge, whatever university you got there. We built castles and cathedrals, mosques. They're not giving us credit. So you see all these European images. Michelangelo was commissioned to Europeanize images of the saints that look like you. You're the saints. You're the saints of Europe. Saints, please stand up, saints. You're the saints of Europe. They worship you. You're the saints. Michelangelo was commissioned to Europeanize images. We just don't know the history, that African bullshit history we're talking about. Afrocentricity that keep you from your culture. If you don't celebrate Christmas, you're not Afrocentric. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, I don't celebrate Christmas. That's the white man's holiday. I celebrate one soul. African holiday. Please.
You say you're Afrocentric? Yeah. Well, I'll make sure I don't have my children around you. I don't want my. If you say that Afrocentric, then I don't want to be Afrocentric. Then, if you call that Afrocentric, then I don't want to be Afrocentric. Barry Shingle. He meant well, but he didn't do well. Meant well, didn't do well. I said it. He wrote a 2-volume book called what?
European.
You going what? You going European what?
Holiday.
Oh, see, there you go. And African people, mental genocide.
Genocide.
You know what the mental genocide is? That he called them European holidays. That he called them European holidays a mental genocide. Because that's a disconnect. That's a disconnect. Why we can't reclaim our stuff? We claim our stuff and teach the people what it really is. Of course, we don't do that. We run from it. Like I did for 10 years, thought I was Afrocentric. Of course, we don't do that. We celebrate, we what? Create Kwanzaa on the 26th. Of course, we don't do that. Of course, we don't empower our people by teaching them the astronomy of Christmas. Oh, yes, treaty. Yes. All right. Let me go right into it. I just wanted to give an overview of my book and Christmas, because it had passed, and I want to make sure people and those who are listening were clear on what Christmas is. So we'll go right into the treaty. All right. So we know that there's some. How do I call this? Some information out there that the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is a scam. I don't know what is meant by that. Let me try to conjecture what this brother means by that. Or let me just raise some questions.
does he mean when he says the Treaty of Peace and Friendship scam? Is he implying that the Treaty of Peace and Friendship doesn't apply to us? It's just scam. Doesn't apply to us? That the Treaty of Peace and Friendship doesn't exist? I don't know, because I'm just trying to, because it's not clear. He just said scam. Doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to us. Us Moors classified as black, Moors, who was once classified as black, people colored, African American. That the Treaty of Peace and Friendship doesn't exist. It's some document that Moors are making up. I don't know what he means by Treaty of Peace and Friendship scam. All right? So let's look at this. Does a Treaty of Peace and Friendship exist? All right, let me read. This is, at the time, he was President Bill Clinton. President Bill Clinton. In remarks at the welcoming ceremony for King Mohammed VI of Morocco, June 20, 2000. This is Bill Clinton, president at the time. Bill Clinton was speaking. Your Majesty, members of the Moroccan delegation, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the United States, I am delighted to welcome the King of Morocco to America. Your Majesty, as we were just discussing, it was 22 years ago when the people of the United States first welcomed you to this house, when you came as Crown Prince with your father, His Majesty King Hassan II. Today we welcome you back in the same spirit of friendship that has joined our two nations since the beginning of the American Republic. Your Majesty, America will never forget that in 1777, the first nation in the world to recognize the United States was the Kingdom of Morocco. 10 years later, our two countries approved a treaty of peace and friendship, which today remains the longest unbroken treaty of its kind in all history. So now we can squash does the treaty exist? Then we can, we got some President Clinton now at the time, 2000. All right, we can squash whether the Treaty of Peace and Friendship exists. Now, other question I raised: does the Treaty of Peace and Friendship apply to us, or is he saying that it doesn't apply to us here, but it applies to them, Moroccans in North Africa? I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know what he means by scam. I don't know what he means by scam, so I gotta raise these questions for clarity. What do you mean by scam? Does the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, are you implying that the Treaty of Peace and Friendship doesn't apply to Moors here, but only applies to Moors in what they call the Kingdom of Morocco? All right? Now, the brother does, if you were to watch him, who have this, he does acknowledge this. The brother does acknowledge this as the Moorish flag. All right? Now my question,
Does he know what this means? Does he know what this means? So if you're going to raise the question, I'm raising the question, you raise the Moors flag, you acknowledge it as your flag. But you don't acknowledge the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. You acknowledge the Moors flag, but you're calling the Treaty of Peace and Friendship a scam. I'm just trying to help me out here, bro. I'm not the most intelligent, natural person in the world. How can one acknowledge the Moors flag and call the Treaty of Peace and Friendship a scam? What did Bill Clinton say? The first country to recognize the United States in 1777 was what? Thank you. And 10 years later, the two enter into what? Which is the longest unspoken treaty in the world. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship scam. What do you mean by that, brother? How can you acknowledge this flag? Is it something you just walk on? Is it something that you use for decoration? What does this flag mean? Is this just for decoration? What does the flag of China mean? Japan, England, France, Holland, Germany, Nigeria. All right, let's not talk about the Moors flag. What about the flag of Nigeria? What does that mean?
Represent the nation.
What about the flag of China? What does that mean? England, France. So the Moors flag doesn't fit those same categories? I mean, this doesn't symbolize a nation?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, oh, you know what? It's just decoration. My bad. It's just for decoration. You know, I'm gonna just use it for wallpaper. Hold on. I'm decorating my wall with wallpaper. Wow. Wow, it looks so good, man. Wow. Wow. In the Moors flag. Is he just saying Moors flag? Does he understand the essence of what this is? A separate state from the United States. How does the driver license of Delaware apply to the Moors? You have a flag. Oh, you know what? My bad. The Delaware driver license applies to China. My bad. The Delaware driver license applies to England. My bad. The Pennsylvania driver license applies to France. My bad. Oh, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the smartest man in the world. Wow. Ain't that something? The Pennsylvania driver license applies to France. Ain't that something? Wow. I question whether they know what this Moors movement is about. I seriously question if they know what this Moors movement is about. How can you raise this? How can you raise this and say that the driver license applies to Moors? This means what? You're a nation. You're a nation. I seriously doubt, family, that he and others around him know what this movement is about. I seriously doubt. I would like to know what he thinks what this movement is about. Is it some group? What are you doing? What's the whole point? Some group? It's a nation that was defeated. The Spaniards, the Portuguese, the French, the Dutch, the English. They defeated us at war. A nation, and classified us as black, Negro, colored, African American, Latino, Spanish, Puerto Rican. So let's go into some history of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Right. We've already, Bill Clinton mentioned that the first country to recognize the United States was Iraq in 1777. I stated that I want to explain why the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is the most important document in United States history. Are you aware in the Continental Congress, as well as in the state delegates, that the number one discussion among the members of the Continental Congress was whether to what? Pay Moors, Morocco, or put money for defense. That was a major debate. You see why I'm saying that this is the most important document in United States history. This debate went on for years because they couldn't keep up with the tribute payments. George Washington, he maintained Europeans 300, 400, 500 years of European annual practice, customary practice of paying Morocco annual tribute. And up in my book, Moors and Masonry, I have treaties between Morocco and France, Morocco and the Netherlands, Morocco and England. It was customary for 500 to 600 years for European powers to pay us annual tribute to pass the high seas. The United States maintained that European customary practice. They thought it would be cheaper. George Washington thought it would be cheaper to continue to pay us tribute than to put money for defense. As you know, it's expensive to build a navy. This went on. This debate went on in the Continental Congress and state delegates. Thomas Jefferson went to France and he just talked to Marquis de Lafayette. And he convinced Marquis de Lafayette to speak on the United States' behalf to help organize a European Union that would fight against the Moors. The European nations backed down. So this is not, we are the center of this. And don't get smoked because they don't talk about this on news. Samuel Huntington, President of the Continental Congress in 1780, he wrote a letter to Emperor Morocco, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, thanking him for opening up his ports. There was what they called a Council of Unrepresented Nations. A council, C-O-N-S-U-L, Council for Unrepresented Nations. That spoke on behalf of the United States to His Pure Majesty. That negotiated on behalf of the United States with His Pure Majesty, Emperor Morocco. This was that treaty of peace and friendship was a monumental task, not for us, for them. We were not slighting them. We were not consulting them. Because we weren't paying them tribute. They were paying us tribute. So why would we initiate discussions for a treaty? They did because they couldn't afford to keep up with the tribute payments. 10% of their annual budget went to paying us. 10% of their annual budget went to paying us. From George Washington administration to John Adams administration, the United States paid annually over $10 million in tribute. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship scam. How dare you? The most important document in United States history is a scam. Because they don't talk about it on CBS and Fox. Doesn't mean it's not the most important document. Because they don't talk about it in the schools. Because it puts us in a power position. Doesn't mean it's not the most important document in United States history. It is. They went to hell to get that Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and John Adams was appointed ministers plenipotentiary in 1785 to negotiate the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, to negotiate a treaty with the Moors. Very important document. Any questions before I go on? Yes. Mike, where's the mic?
Who was this individual was talking about the treaty was a scam?
I'm not going to say his name.
Oh,
What about
I'm not going to say his name. I choose not to say his name.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine.
Brother Abdul.
Yes. I said, I'm not going to say his name.
Neither am I. Islam. I'm not sure, if I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure if that individual was calling the treaty a scam, or, here's my or,
Go ahead.
or somehow attaching treaties to certain Moorish individuals who are known instructors, teachers like yourself, and somehow putting treaty with their names as if there was some kind of scam. It was confusing, but didn't say the one of peace and friendship. Just said the treaty scam, I think. But it had a lot of people.
Treaty of peace and friendship, because that's what Moors talk about.
Okay, well,
that would be that.
So I don't know whether it was so much whether this individual was calling, and I think they were trying to label the individuals who teach about the treaty as scammers, as opposed to the treaty itself. It wasn't clear. It didn't make sense to me, but that's what I thought.
All right. So let me raise this then. I teach about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in all the national Moors. How would that be scandalous? How would that be a scam? How would teaching about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, its history, its articles, how to use it, how would that be a scam? I mean, he should be doing it. I got the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in front of me. I'm reading articles from it. Would that be a scam? How using the Treaty of Peace and Friendship for my protection and teaching you how to use for your protection is a scam? I'm trying to, based on what I'm just trying to raise that. How would it be a scam if I'm teaching from it? What do you want? He should be doing the same thing. Why wouldn't you want to use that for your protection for your people? I'm just saying. You get to look at him like, damn, brother. Yes, good. Help me out, y'all. Help me out.
Well, this is kind of a little bit off, but it's kind of on the same thing.
Please don't go off.
Well, it's not too far off.
Please.
My question is, business based a little bit on this, is what is the Kingdom of Morocco's view, particularly in this era of us as being Moors, claiming the treaty? What have they been silent on?
I don't know. I don't know the Kingdom of Morocco's view. Most of our people don't know that we're Moors. I haven't seen anything in writing that they have come and helped us. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't want to speculate. I don't know what you. Other than that, I'll be speculating. Yes. This is good.
Islam, again, is it possible that, like in other situations, there have been a lot of amalgamation and trading places of peoples who occupy certain lands, to the extent that the present day occupants of the Kingdom of Morocco don't even recognize those of us who are here as true Moors because of so much, the amalgamation, and then a lack of of that being a part of the general history.
You talking conspiracy to cover up stuff too?
Well, all that.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. That's something I've thought about for years. Because they're contributing the history of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship with them. And not here with us. That's Morocco and this ain't. In fact, I've met Moors who were brought up in the temple all their lives, and it was just, work. I remember one of my former co-workers, and she showed me pictures of her trip to what she calls Morocco, and she was so excited, and I didn't understand why she was so excited. And look at the Moorish flags, and I'm saying to myself that this is Morocco, and I assumed that she had the same understanding as I did. I assumed that she knew that this is Morocco, and that as I talked to her over a period of months, came to see that her understanding was not like mine. So I'm like, what are they learning in the temples? Don't they teach that this is Morocco? Why is she going over there 4 or 5 times? Well, I'm not so fine of going over there. This is Morocco. I mean, like, oh yeah, I went to Morocco. You never left. I mean, you left Morocco to go where? I mean, I'm just saying. I tried to understand. I'm learning how she was thinking, through several conversations. Because I'm assuming, that she had the same understanding I did. I mean, it's wrong to assume, but I didn't. Why would I think otherwise? All right. Yes.
For a little bit, I struggled with that too, just like you were saying. And then I started, I continually read, and I was reading that letter that George Washington wrote to the Sultan. And in it, he even says it. He says, "Thank you for blessing us with your dominions," which is Moroccan dominion.
Yeah, George Washington on December 1st, 1789, writes Muhammad ibn Abdullah. He first apologizes for not keeping up with regular correspondence. He thanks His Imperial Majesty for honoring the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. His Imperial Majesty plays an important role because he recognized the United States in 1777, even though there were Moorish regencies who were against that. So he went to bat for the United States. Of course, they're not widely discussed in history books. I mean, Muhammad ibn Abdullah battled for y'all, but you don't give him credit. I mean, this is not even known to the children. This is most important history. This man went to bat for them, yet the children don't know who he is. Who is Muhammad ibn Abdullah? Every child should know who he is. It's like they know who Thomas Jefferson is, right? Well, they should know who Muhammad ibn Abdullah is. I mean, his role, in fact, he plays more important role than Thomas Jefferson. Shucks. He plays a more important role than Thomas Jefferson. They honor him. Why don't they honor him? Well, they should have parades for Muhammad ibn Abdullah. I'm serious. They got parade for Thomas Jefferson and them. No, why they got parade for him? Because you got to understand, family, the importance of this Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the role it played in 17 leading up to the actual signing of it. Now, Barack Obama, when he was president in 2012, he did not mention the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in his speech. Barack Obama also stated that the first country to recognize the United States was Morocco, 1777, right? And Barack Obama said that the recognition came when they signed the Treaty of Tripoli in 1796, but he never mentioned, why was Barack Obama? Bill Clinton did. Bill Clinton mentioned the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Barack Obama didn't. But Bill Clinton mentioned that the first country to recognize Morocco the United States was Morocco in 1777. Barack Obama mentioned that recognition came in 1796 when they signed the Treaty of Tripoli. The Treaty of Tripoli in 1796, Karamani, all right? Karamani, all right? The United States had to pay Tripoli $50,000 a year. Caramani wanted more. So he wanted more. This irked Thomas Jefferson. So Thomas Jefferson, when he became president in 1801, he went to war. That war is surrounded around the Treaty of 1796, as Caramani wanted more. He wanted to increase the tribute payment, increase the demands. So Thomas Jefferson saw that as he would never be satisfied. We keep giving him to demands, and his demands increasing. All right? So that was called the war 1801 to 1805. It's called the First Barbary War. This is not taught anywhere. This is United States history, y'all. So I'd like to get some clarity on this treaty scam and what the brother actually means by that. So that I can, give more of an intellectual response, that I'm just raising points. All right? So that the listening audience, would know, by having some solid information. Because most people, even nationalized Moors, don't know the history leading up to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Most of the things I talked about, trust me, fam, trust me. Europeans, nationalized Moors, unconscious Moors don't even know about. So about this picture tonight. It's new to them. Yes, Dr. Nailah.
Yeah, when it's from a standpoint of, I guess, the scam again.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm talking.
My brain, my wheels begin to turn. Somebody says keep your money. I don't know what things people are find themselves paying for, but from a standpoint of processes and so forth that various people attempt to use and utilize, and sometimes a lot of people they're unsuccessful, but by the same token there are successful people, and I don't think it's fair to call the knowledge that's being given a scam. If the majority of people that I talk to, and I talk to a lot because they think I know people who will give me the answers to their question, and the majority of the people want the result, but they don't want to go through the study and the understanding that it takes in order to be able to stand on one square in order for someone to successfully go through a process and say, yeah, being a Moor is legit and it is recognized by XYZ, because that's why I post things. When people share things with me and I ask them if it's all right if I could share information, the brother that successfully was able just recently to, he works for the federal government and they recognize him as a Moor and stop taking taxes, and I have a copy of showing where they stopped taking the taxes, where the IRS has sent him information or whatever using his free national name, and he's no longer paying taxes. The Sister Light, Sister Light, who was captured, was kidnapped, but stood on her square as a Moor and was able to have most of these bogus charges dropped, because we're talking about people who study and people who are serious versus people who want to get out of jail quick or get rich quick scheme and don't want to take the time. And I'm not knocking anybody, but I get a lot of tell me what to do, give me all the steps so I can do it. I can't do that. You got to study. So if some of these things aren't working, and some of them are scams that people have people doing with packages, but if some of these things aren't working, you can't blame the people who are just giving you like information like you are, Brother Todd, your Sister Rosa, Brother whoever, Brother Shayla Moore, people who are out there active, putting out the right information, but not everything. You've got to study. You've got to discover some of this stuff for yourself in order for it to make sense to you. So you can't call it a scam because people jump out the box just like that and think that they're going to make something work, and they can't defend it. They can't back it up. And then you go back and call the people scammers.
Oh, I think that's what he means. I think that's what he means.
Turn it on.
I think how I feel like the study to be free, because if it's our rights already, then I'm like, I don't want to go to jail in order to prove the fact. So it seems like that's kind of like an initiation in movement. Like, you know, they're not going to respect what's been stated, you know, all the history we learned and the laws and the case law. But when we're going out demonstrating, you know, people's getting banged on. You know, and they got to go to jail, and then how you going to represent, then it's a question of how you going to represent yourself once you're inside. You know, how you going to get to the law library. Some people, we get 23-1, so we don't get access to the law library. So then, you know, how many years do I need to study before I can step out and claim my birthright? You know, who gonna hold us down until we get competent enough? Who got our back? Like that.
It's that's why they're trying to restore the consular courts. That's why that move is underfoot. So you talk about being presented, and you want to get to a place where you can present yourself. You don't want to be represented. You want to present yourself. But that's why consular courts, there's a move underfoot to restore consular courts in all territories, and we need to get involved in that.
I agree. I'll get involved and trust that you put out a newspaper regarding that.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on what the brother said there. One of the things that I've found is that, like Brother Taj would say, it's that sincerity. If you, like you said, if you're trying to do something to get out of something that's really scamful, you know, those forces that exist, they ain't gonna allow you to see the way you really need to see it. But when you're sincere about it, and you're trying to you're trying to be who you are, and you're trying to do it because it's the right thing, not because you're trying to get, get over. It come to you. It really does. It really does.
The Treaty of Peace and Friendship is the oldest treaty, right?
Yes.
And
Unbroken.
Unbroken.
Not the oldest. It's the
Oldest
continuous.
All right. Are
Unbroken treaty.
we still paying tributes to Morocco? Because we got a navy now.
No. All right, back. This is Morocco. We're Morocco.
I'm talking about to the kingdom.
You say we.
The government, America, not us. America, still paying tribute to Morocco.
Brother, you got to clarify some points, man. Wow. All right. Here we go. You see this book cover?
Okay, I guess I do got to clarify, because what I'm asking is, you said that we had America, the nation, was paying tribute to Morocco.
I never said that. I never said that, brother.
United States. All right, United States.
Yeah, but they're not the same, though. You said. Yeah, I'm saying, they're not the same.
United States.
Yeah, we clarified. Right.
Is United States still paying tribute to Morocco?
No, absolutely not. All right, so understand, you're talking about the kingdom. All right. This is Morocco.
I get that.
The country that you live in is Morocco, not the United States. The United States is not a country. The United States is not. Let me finish, brother. Because the way it's like you weren't clear on it. So let me just give me an opportunity to clear it up for you.
Okay.
All right, this the country that you were born in is Morocco. The country you live in is Morocco. The United States is a European occupying power that's colonizing and occupying your country. The United States is not a country. All right? The capital of Morocco, your country, is what now called Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is a corporation. 10 square miles, a jurisdiction of 10 square miles. It's not the name of the land. All right? So this is the capital of Morocco. You familiar with those 3 buildings?
Yeah.
This is the capital of Morocco, your country. The United States is a trusteeship, is functioning your country in a trusteeship capacity. Donald Trump is sitting in your seat. Donald Trump is a substitute Grand Wazir. That's your seat. That's your Moorish Oval Office. The seat he sits in is Morocco. He is United States. He is United States, but not the seat. The seat is not United States. He is though, but not the seat. The seat is yours. They took your fez and put on their head, and they had parades. They traded places with you. They have control of your land and your government. You turn on C-SPAN. You turn on C-SPAN or CNN. Right? You see all these Europeans sitting in your seat. Congress. All these Europeans sitting in your seat. The Europeans is United States, but not the seat. The seat is Morocco. Go to C-SPAN tomorrow. Go to C-SPAN. All right? Say, House of Representatives. Right? You have Speaker of the House. That's yours. Because you see all these European faces, you think it belongs to them. That's the trick.
Now the question was, United States has $1 trillion something deficit. United States.
No, but I'm
is
just
anything getting paid to Morocco?
all right. I'm just trying to clear it now.
What you was trying to clarify?
That United States
is
doing it, is sitting in your. All right, but it's not the country though. I don't know if that colonial body politic, not the country's Morocco. I don't know if the United States, that colonial body politic, is paying tribute to the kingdom in North Africa.
Okay, that's
All right,
that was a question.
All right, there you go. I understand. But I still had to clarify, okay? I couldn't let you think that the United States is a country, United States is a government, all right? United States is not a government. United States is not a country. The name of this government is Morocco, that's under European occupation. We got to be very clear on that. If we're not clear on that, brother, they're not going to tell you.
I know this.
They're not going to tell you. They're just going to act it out. They're going to wear your fez in front of your face. They're going to call it the Shriner's hat. They're going to call it the Grotto's hat. Right? They're going to think you're a Shriner if you wear it. Right? They're not going to say Moor, they're going to say Shriner. All right? Go ahead.
Being on the occupation
Yes. I love it. See that?
in the
I love it. There we go.
Moorish American land,
That we got to get our people to that. See which? We got to get them to that.
One of the things
That you just said, we got to get them to that level.
one of the things that is very hard for the people who have traded their identity as being black, colored, Negro, is the understanding of where's the help from your fatherland to free the Moorish American captives.
I like that too. Consciousness. I like that. And we got the way she's talking, that's how we gotta talk. Not calling them government. Yeah, they sitting in the seats of the government, but they ain't the government. I don't care what. We gotta be clear who we are. All right? The help. I've been involved for quite some time, sister. And we need you. We need you. You know, it's not, this movement is not as strong as it should be. I mean, it's been 105 years. It's not as long as it should be. You know. Yes.
Yes, I've been involved for a little while, and the answer to a lot of people's questions is, from my perspective and what I'm getting out of studying our history, our true history is, just like you said, it has to come from us individually. And I have to study. I can't depend on Abdullah to speak for me. I need to study and speak for myself. As far as to defend myself.
Let's clarify that though, Bo. All right. Let's clarify that. You have what's called Great Seal Orders. That was set up. We're trying to get back to that. Consular courts. It's the way you're talking. You would have wazirs who could speak for you, because that's how it's done. It's not you individual. You would go right. I would have a Great Seal Order in this Moorish territory, and then we would have nominations and elections. We would, elect viziers, all right? And then the viziers would go out and speak. A vizier is a high-ranking Moorish official. The Europeans today substituted vizier with secretary. Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Education, they use secretary instead of vizier. To cover up that this is Moorish government. All right, so you would have your viziers. Now the Europeans don't go out and they have viziers. You know what I'm saying? So we need to teach what Moorish government is. And you guys already know what it is. You guys already know what Moorish government is. No, we don't. Yes, you do. No, we don't. Yes, you do. No, we don't. Yes, you do. You already know what Moorish government is. Yes, you do. I'm saying yes, you do. I would never say yes, you do if I wasn't sure. If you didn't know, then you know. All right. You know this, right? You know this, right? You know that, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's substitute that with this. That's simple. You know what that is, right? Secretary of State, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Defense, Secretary, Secretary, Don't y'all, Secretary of the Treasury, don't y'all know what this is, right? What they did was substitute this with this. So I give you something that you already know. Makes it easier to understand. Something you already know. And what? Associated with something that you were not familiar with. That's all. And then you have a wazir would have walis, researchers, just like they would have, researchers and staff members. All right, same thing.
But do we have them? That's the question.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Is that we keep doing our own thing. That's why I'm directing. We can't do our own thing. We got to set up structure. Thank you, sister. And government structure. That's, brother, we can't do it this way. We can't do it this way. We can't. That's not how it's done. If you what? Fraternity, sorority, don't they have what? Officers and elections and people get fun, dues and right. And then they send delegates. They have national conventions and they send delegates. Right, I'm alpha. I already know how that works. They send delegates. So they send 2 delegates, and the delegates speak on behalf of the chapter. Right. That's how it works. That's it would work here. Same structure. Now, the problem is that we've been trying to do our own thing. That's the problem. Yes. So I'm going to continue to push for this, and I definitely applaud the nationalized Moors for trying to get consular courts off the ground. I trust, and I want this to be known publicly, and I want to reach out to them. And I'm going to be doing an open letter that they put out a newspaper. We cannot, please hear me out, brothers and sisters, those who are putting together consular courts. We cannot do this. We don't want to do this. That's right. We want to put out a newspaper in a form both Europeans and unconscious and conscious Moors. You don't want to be some entity over here by yourself. Educate the community. The problem that I've seen, family, from day one, from my involvement, from day one, is this.
Y'all want the light on. I think the boys gonna come get them.
Family, it's better that you what? Educate the community. The protection would be the community. The worst thing they can do is this. I'm telling you right now, I'm not down for that, fam. I'm telling you right now. When I do that open letter, I'm putting out 50,000 copies. I'm going to Europeans too. I want to pass it out in front of the Constitution Center. I'm going to pass it out in front of the Independence Hall. I'm going to make sure I get into where Europeans are, European restaurants, European stores too. I'm not just going to nationalize conscious Moors. No. I'm not just going to nationalize the conscious Moors. This is the National Constitution Center. People from all over the world go there. They have trips, class trips. That's a mainstream institution. The worst thing we can do is this. I'm tired of that. And we can't have this, the boys will come get us mentality. Brother, we can't, brother. I hear what you're saying, brother, and I respect that. No, brother, no, I'm not. I respect that. I respect that. I respect what you're saying. I do. I appreciate that. But I'm saying we can't have that. We can't say, well, we're going to do the consular court in Abdullah it's not a good idea to put out a newspaper because we will fear that the boys gonna get us. Brother, we can't have that. Brother, we can't give that vibe. We can't give the vibe that we're some criminals. Brother, we cannot give that vibe. That is the wrong. You're sending that message out to the community that you're some criminals. Teach the community. Don't be some closed 4 or 5 nationalized Moors. And that's what I think I've been involved for quite some time. I apologize if I'm not so excited about the consular courts. I'm being honest. Family, I'm being honest. No, we do need them. I'm not saying I'm being honest of why I'm not so excited, because I've seen this over and over and over and over and over and over again. My fear is that it's just going to be closed, and it will be 4 or 5 or 10 nationalized boards, and it's not going to be room for growth. I mean, I hope that's not the case. I hope it's not the case, man. I want to be wrong. But I've seen it over and over again. We cannot do this, man. We cannot repeat this close. One of my problems that I had, yes.
Islam, I don't see any reason why the concert court movement that's going on now can't work in concert with what you're about to do with the paper.
I'm down with it.
No, you, and I certainly will get you in touch with the right person. But instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, you already have a paper and you're ready to bring it back. So you need to work together.
I'm with that. Because of the consular court ties with what I'm doing with the letter. Because that's the letter is to put in exhibit acknowledging the treaty of peace of friendship. That's consular courts. In the articles 20 to 25, will outline what? Consular courts. Right. So definitely. But please give me contact. I just want to speak publicly about my feelings, and we got to get this Moorish movement on the map. I'm talking about mainstream. It's still underground. It's too underground. We got to get it in the mainstream. I mean, this movement is 105 years old. And if you said 5, Abdullah? No, 105. You sure you didn't say 5? No, 105. You sure you said 5? You didn't say 5. Because no, I'm serious, bro. It seems like it's only 5 years old. This movement only seems like it's only 5 years old. If you told somebody off the street that this Moorish movement is 105 years old, they should laugh in your face. They should laugh in your face. Because that's pathetic. For a movement to be 105 years old is little known in the people in different communities throughout the country. Somebody called me, people call me from all over the country. I'm Abdullah. I'm in Chicago, or I'm in Alabama, or I'm the only Moor out here. You're the only Moor out here. But they mean the only nationalized country. I know what they mean. I don't know no Moors. And I get that over 15, 20 years I've been getting that. I've been getting the same type of calls. I don't know no Moors. How you in Chicago, 3 million people, and you say you don't know no Moors? I got a problem with that. All right, let me get off. Go ahead, sister. I'm sorry. Let me stop.
All right, question. What's the Council courts, what's the difference? Like, what is that supposed to do?
All right, you have in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1787. There's articles 20 to 25. All right, you have consular courts. All right, so we're looking at where we can bring, if there's an issue to be brought. All right, the proper court would be consular courts between us and the United States. All right, it would be consular courts. That's the proper jurisdiction and venue to adjudicate any matters. They're looking to what? Restore them. Where we can now bring Europeans in. All right? And we also can, bring our own people in. We have that authority. We have that self-authority to do that. I applaud the brothers and sisters who are doing that. I just want them to, and I would help them to promote it so it can be known in the community. All right? So if a Moor should wound or injure a European, or a European should injure or wound a Moor, this is in the treaty. All right? The proper court would be consular court to deal with that matter. All right? What they've done, the United States colonial power, not a country or government, is dismantle, have classified us as black, Negro, colored, and created a fictional history. So our people don't know that this is their land. We think we came on some ship somewhere, and we're black, Negro, colored, Latino, so forth. Treaty of Peace and Friendship is far from our mind, and we think we're black. So erecting consular courts was so far from mine, but once again, those brothers are conscious, and I want to help them. All right? Another question. I mean, it's a good thing.
Now, in order to be on the council court, you would have to, in order to be on the council court, you would have to have some type of knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge of, law. I mean, jurisprudence, absolutely.
And history.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons why I stated individuals need to study.
Yes.
They need to study in order to have that type
and then also need to be structured classes, when we can have better structured classes relative to prepare national awards for that. Yeah.
And they specific classes for that.
That's something that, I would discuss with the brothers.
Oh.
I don't know, I might know them. I know that they were trying to do this in Philadelphia last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. So this is not new. This is why I was saying that, here we go again. I don't mean to be pessimistic, but when you see it over and over again, all right? Yes.
I just want to read this, just because it's coming.
I'm open to criticism.
No, this isn't a criticism. This isn't critique. This is a good thing.
Shut up, you know what you're talking about. Okay, that's fine.
No, this is a good thing. Just Brother J. Rael says, I design websites. I'm willing to do whatever for the family, free of cost. Design the email server to send newsletters to active Moors. Let me know where you need me. I'm not a publisher, though. I know my role. I'm just waiting for the green light. Let it be known.
I love it because he can design a website for the consular court. He can design a consular court website. That's what I'm talking about. So it's not we got to get out this secretive clothes Because we talk about public. We talk about court. That's public.
Fear and a secretive, if you ask me. Like right now, I'm trying to go through the transition and establish. I think it's more.
Okay.
It's more of a fear because I've been dealing with the Europeans for so long. So I'm stepping out on faith and the information that I'm receiving from self-educating myself. And it's just a small few of us that we study on the daily. And it's becoming where those groups get smaller because knowing better, you do better. It changes the way you talk, it changes the way you walk, it changes you. So with all that being said, like I have some legal litigations that's going on that came about in the midst of me studying and inquiring to do better, know better. So I got some tickets. I was speeding down Maryland. I get, the cop, state trooper pulls me over. I tell him I'm traveling, so forth and so on. I'm going back and forth with him, so I say to myself, I'm not going to sit here and argue on the side of the road with the agent that's supposed to know the law because you're supposed to uphold it. So he gives me my tickets, whatever. I mail my stuff in with my appellation name. I go to court, they throw everything out, I win. Now, in the meantime, in between time, I had a third party loan. I got a loan, and I told him I couldn't pay it. I said, I'm willing to pay, but I can't afford what you want. So, after a while, they threatened me for a year, then they sold the debt. Now, coming through my consciousness, I learned that once the debt is sold, I'm no longer obligated to that debt. So I go to court, and I win. Now, when I go to court, it was an attorney that bought the debt. So I win, and the attorney appeals it and sends a sheriff after me to deliver the paperwork. And it says this is my first and only warning. I have till April of 2018, and then they wanted me to do a writ of discovery. Now, in my transition of going through all these things, and I'm studying and everything, it's when I reach out for help, it's like the help is not there. It's very discouraging, honestly, because if you're not, for me, if I'm not self-educating myself and politicking with the people that I'm politicking with, and buying the pamphlets or the information or argue bag, and even with that, it's still only so much that I can understand. So I have my black law dictionary, I have my regular dictionary, I'm looking up everything and jotting everything down. But then when the day comes, and you have to go and represent yourself, it's like you all gun-ho to do it, but then all of a sudden it's like this fear come over me. Right. But I do what I need to do. And it's now like, it's like, so people that I know, whether they, because I've been sharing this information, and I've done some research on where you're supposed to share and where you're not allowed to share. It says something like you're not supposed to share this information in schools, halls, institutions, churches, and things of that nature. Is that right?
No.
Oh,
no. So you speak wherever you want.
You got freedom of speech.
See what I'm saying? So again, it's like I'm trying to shift through all the different information, and other than me coming here on Friday and trying to, I'm not all that computer savvy, so I try and get onto the blogs and everything, and I'm not very successful. So I go on the YouTubes and get my information from that. But like I said, like now that I share information, when I find out when people have court and stuff, if I don't have to work, I'm just going to show up to be that support for somebody. Because that one person that showed up to be your support is like your witness. They go back and tell the person that you care about what happened. They able to just your witness. And then you say we have to, like in Islam, they have they bought land and for them. Like, do we have land in the community for the Moors? Like, because if we had our own land, then the police couldn't police us because you're not allowed on our land to even police us.
That was
we can school ourselves and everything like that. So I look at the people that's coming in, that's uplifting themselves with where they made success of putting their illegas into a trust, and access and authenticating their birth certificate and things. Like I had my W-BEN. I'm trying to prepare for get all my money back from working this year from filing my taxes. I've been doing some research with the W8 Bank form and the SS4 form and all this other stuff just to try and get all mine back. Because I have a property. I'm going to lose my property to taxes that I shouldn't be obligated to pay. I'm trying to turn my building in Chester into a place for the Moors in my area to come and study together and things like that. So it's like, I don't know, it's like I have all these ideas and all these plans to try and us come together, you know, and it's I don't know, it's like who do I share locally?
Remember that stuff? Remember that? Yeah. Trying to get his attention. Where was he at? We'll get, oh man. Go out there for a minute.
So that's all I was wondering. I was wondering how we could collectively come together and provide ourselves a community. Because right now where I live at, the Europeans and Caucasians, they swooping and buying everything up. I've been to the tax sale, and that's how I got my first property. And I learned how to do it through working with the Europeans. I worked at the Chester Police Department. And that's what all the officers do. Because they did a grandfather law where so you can't work there unless you live there. And then on top of that, they get grant money from somewhere where the house that they pick is paid for them, as long as they live there a certain amount of time. So they don't live there. What they do a post address box, own the property, rent it out. So it's just ridiculous. So I've learned how to do that, and I've been trying to politic and talk to whoever, people where I live at. They know that I'm. It's just how I am. But at the same time, like I said, I wanted, they have something coming up. So what I did, I went to all my family members and let them know, look, this year for our taxes, because they're not conscious. Right. They still not believing, but they believe in. So I said, this year, instead of buying furniture, a new car, and clothes with your taxes, what we're going to do, we're going to collectively come together as a family and put our money together and pick different sites. Everyone decide what their dream is to do. And we're going to go one person by one person. Every year it'd be somebody else. Or once one person gets established, we're going to move on to the next person. But we have to keep putting it together. I don't know. I just been for schooling what I did. I'm trying to start a tutoring program for the summer. I have funny money. You can only use it in my building. And what it is you come, you watch videos and learn about the nationality. And I pay you for it with the funny money. And at the end of the month,
I gotta get your numbers.
At the end of the month, you cash your money in with me, or you can buy stuff in my store, my building. So I have a lot of things, but it's like I don't have the means to start it. And it's crazy thing is. Okay, I'm gonna do this last one testimony, and I'm off the mic. I was trying to find money, and I was like, I was watching a video about the Moors and uplifting humanity, and it went off. And then all of a sudden, a video came on about coins. And it was saying that from coins from 1900 to 1980, it's made with 95% copper. Copper's real money. It's the least amount, but copper, gold, and silver. So say that. So in the midst of that, another video came on, and it said, if you have a coin of 1982 with this letter on it, it's worth that. So I went and got my coins. And before I started looking at my coin, I said, Allah, you done gave me all these ideas and no means to get it up and started. I went over there and picked out 6 coins. And out of the 6, I went through the whole bunch, and out of the whole bunch, there was 6 left. And out of the 6 that was left, only 1 coin matched the money. So that 1 penny's worth $2,000 to $5,000. Now, I didn't confirm everything else. I just got to take it and see what happened. But see how it works? Okay, I'm passing my thank you.
Once we proclaim our nationality, for those that are on public assistance and public housing, things like that, will they be kicked off?
No. They have you classified as black, and you have a right to your name and nationality. They're using the race and ethnic standards for federal statistics and administrative reporting, where they use Directive Policy number 15, where you have the classifications of American Indian / Alaska Native, Hispanic, white, black, and you have American Indian / Pacific Islander, Asian / and you have Asian, you have white, black, and Hispanic. Those are they. So you have what you're doing is you're informing them of the public declaration of your nationality and your name correction. And that's a right. That's a right. All right.
And when I had read the I forget what it's called exactly, but for the rights to indigenous peoples.
The rights to indigenous people.
Yes, it was saying that it's not law, but it's
Barack, you talking about Barack Obama signed it in 2010. I don't know, has it been ratified, because it has to be first signed and then ratified by the Senate.
Then it'll be law.
Yeah, it has to be signed and ratified by the Senate. First has to be signed by the President and then ratified by the Senate. I don't think it's been ratified by the Senate, but it has been signed by Barack Obama.
What's that?
The rights of indigenous people. Signed, but it has to be signed and then ratified. Not ratified, it's signed and then ratified. All right. Other questions?
Do you know of any programs or grants that's available now for our national for our
there's
status?
programs. There's grants. They call on the Indian Affairs that will fall under us. You have the what's called the National Grant Book. Grant and assistance, public grants and assistance. You go to the public library, public grants and assistance.
But you mentioned Indian.
Yeah, that's what they have them listed as. They don't
Yeah.
have more than they got Indian.
But aren't they wards? Excuse me.
But if it says Indian, are they asking you to? Going to ask you?
But I'm saying that he can still use that and then clarify his nationality, because that applies to the native indigenous people. See, they're doing is they're giving the funds to those who live on reservations only. But we're native and indigenous to the land. That's what I'm saying. It's under public assistance and grants.
How would that work when they kick the darker Indian natives off the land and what's the thing going on with that?
I'm saying the land. We still on the land.
I mean, on the reserve. That's the thing going on the reserves.
No, I'm talking about we on the land right now. I'm talking about us being on the land. We indigenous. Millions of indigenous people living in the cities.
Let me clarify that. She's talking about the Indians that's being presently kicked off their land for them claiming Indian, because we're not Indian. It's not Indian.
And they're just because
And
they're
they-
the
they-
dark.
I'm saying I'm not saying for him to claim Indian.
No, not
that he's
him.
Indian. I'm saying
Her.
more. I'm saying I'm talking about directing him to the grants.
Right.
It's listed under Indian. That's what I'm saying. I'm directing him to grants.
Okay.
It's not listed under Moor. You already knew that.
Right.
It's listed under Indian. That's what I was doing. I was just directing those to grants.
So in order to get this grant, we have to claim something that we
No.
It's just search under Indian.
to look it up.
I said to look it up. I just said to you that he's going to clarify that he's a Moor.
Okay.
I didn't say for him to clarify that he's an Indian. I'm just saying that's where the funding is listed under that. If you go to the public assistance grant book, you ain't gonna find more in there. All right, go ahead. Go to the public assistance grant book and look up for more. Go in there. You're not gonna find it. You're gonna see Indian. That's what I'm saying. Once he gets that, he can clarify that. He's going to clarify who he is. Right. He can use the rights of indigenous people and clarify who he is. present his nationality. He is indigenous.
In other words, you can scrape that out where it says, you know.
No, but that's what it's listed under. I don't know what else to direct them to. I
know what he's, I just want to him this.
No, I thought I did clarify. Because I never said for him to say Indian. Yeah, I never said that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in, look up U.S. Code section, Title 25, that has everything with the Indians.
Right.
Already seen that.
That's all, yeah.
So,
That's all I'm saying.
if anybody's looking for, like he said, grants or anything,
Right.
just study that whole section.
It's gonna be, it's not gonna be listed on the board.
U.S. Code,
That's something.
Title 25.
So, I mean, I can't tell you to go on the board because it ain't gonna be listed on the board. But that's something, we gotta continue to push for that. That's what Drew Ali came to do. But I ain't gonna tell him to go look under some black. I'm not gonna tell him to go look up some African American or black. No, man, I'm serious. All right, they got funding for that too. But I'm not gonna say, well, go to the black and African American. I'm gonna go look under Indian. But they got that too now.
Another question on that. Now, when you do look under that, and
You're gonna see a whole list of grants.
whole list of grants.
Yes.
Now, in order to be qualified for that
He
grant,
qualifies, he's indigenous.
right? Do you have to list it under, say, my strong name was Captain?
No, he's gonna put his, all right.
Right.
He's going to present his documents, the name direction.
And I just want to clarify that.
Right,
all.
that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's
Just wanna
going
clarify.
to clarify that he's a Moor.
Right.
All right? That he's indigenous, that he's entitled to that because of the fact that he's indigenous. Rights of indigenous people. Right? The American Declaration, write this down too. American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People was adopted in 2016, June 2016. That applies to him too. What I'm saying is that they ain't been recognizing us as indigenous. We got to know that we're indigenous and what? The man that they recognize us as indigenous. Millions of indigenous people live in the cities. They got you thinking that only the indigenous people live in reservations.
Right. Well,
What I'm saying is that we have to present ourselves as indigenous and that these funds do apply to us.
With our indigenous names.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's what I was.
No, he's not going to say he's black, nickel, color, Smith, Jones, and Johnson.
Right. Okay.
Right.
I just wanted to clarify.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to present his Moorish document. He's going to present his Moorish documents.
You can't go in as say.
No, he's going to present his Moorish documents, and he's going to make it known that he's indigenous, and then therefore he's entitled to the grants. Referencing the American Declaration of Indigenous People, which was adopted last year, or 2016, and then the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People signed by Barack Obama in 2010.
That's two different ones.
Yeah, it's two different ones. United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, signed by Barack Obama in 2010. Then you have the American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People that was adopted by the Organization of American States in June 2016. That's two different ones. Not the same. American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, Culture Survival Incorporated. Culture Survival Incorporation is a conglomeration of 11 what they call indigenous people organizations. They've been active. I mean, they organized 11 different groups combined into one. Now, you see that? You see? That's what we got to get to. We doing this too much infighting. We got the biggest, you know what? We took too much time into that. And they got radio stations, newspapers. They ain't trying to do this. Cause the man gonna get them type thing. Just saying, man. I mean, man.
I just wanted to add to what you were saying. If anyone gets the chance, go to the Washita de Mayo website.
Yep.
You'll find a work of information. Some of you may have family members that told you you were Seminole or Cherokee
I know
or
that all my life,
Choctaw.
but my grandmother said that.
That's basically your claim right there.
You said Washita?
Washita de Mayo. You know, if you have
WASHITAWDAWASHI.
Put it on the board.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
I think that's the only treaty you can claim without,
What's that?
It's like 18 something.
No, you got the treaty of peace and friendship.
Give him the mic.
No, I'm saying you more, brother. I'm gonna have to spell that.
Yeah, that last one.
Yeah, I don't know how to spell that, but I ain't gonna spell it. But it should come up though. As soon as you know, Google that, I think it should come up.
How do you pronounce it again?
Data the Maya.
The Mayo.
Maya. Data the Maya. All right.
Like
it's a
Cinco
long-
de Mayo?
It's a long word.
It is, it really is.
I don't know how to spell it, so I'm not even. But do this. It should come up. When you Google this, the other name should come up. You know how when you Google something and you almost about to get it done and it pops right on up. That's what I'm saying.
And they are
Right.
a recognized sovereign nation at the United Nations. So
In fact, Emily Goldston had a UN number.
21593.
Yep. 21593. 21593. That's the UN number.
I have a question.
Hmm?
I was filling out a section of the claim of tax treaty benefits, and it asked me, I certified the beneficial owner is a resident of, and then it's a blank space within the meaning of the meaning of the income tax treaty between the United States and that country. It has special rates, conditions. The beneficial owner is claiming the provisions.
What country? United States and what country?
That's just it. It's a blank space. So I put North America, but then it asked me the provisions of article and paragraph. So I put Article 3, Section 2 of the treaty.
What treaty?
For the peace and friendship treaty.
Oh, all right. That's what I was asking. You said, I remember I asked you what treaty. You said it's a blank there. That's why I need to know what you were talking about. What treaty you were talking about. All right. You put treaty of peace and friendship? You just got the article. Article 3, 4, 5, American Constitution covenant. You gotta put treaty of peace and friendship.
Right here.
All right, between Morocco and the United States. All right, that's fine. You got
So change put in here, or I don't know.
put treaty of peace and friendship between Morocco and the United States, 1787.
Okay. So,
Yeah, be more specific, so that because you don't want to, have them. Don't leave any assumptions. And that ties to what they're doing about council of courts. I'm as far as I want to help. Because that's what I do. See how I can help. And I do have a paper that will be be issuing. In the Masonic Gate newspaper, because that reached out to a lot of Masons, Angel Stars, and other people too. A lot of people were picking up the paper, not just Masons, Angel Stars. Not just Masons, Angel Stars that were connected, that were picking up the paper. Europeans too. I had it back in the Reading Terminal. A lot of young Europeans were picking up the paper. That's what I want. I'm gonna have it in Whole Foods. The Europeans go. They'll pick it up. I mean, I'm not gonna just do it to just be nationalized Moors, because we gotta wake our people up, and we also want to connect with some Europe. That's why I'm dealing with the National Constitution. I'm also going to put out an open letter to the George Washington Masonic National Memorial Museum, recommending that they put an exhibit honoring the letter. Have an exhibit with George Washington's letter to Muhammad Ibn Abdullah with a glass case. That's going to be a recommendation. Glass case. They have nothing in there. You know, they give you this BS. I need to be the tour guide there. I'm serious. Because, you know, you go in there and you just, you know, well, George Washington, you know, he's a Mason and he was, you know, in his lodge and, you know, no mention of the letter. You know, none of that. All right, so I'm gonna send a letter. I'm gonna have the letter in there. It's gonna be an open letter. I'm gonna have the letter, George Washington letter in the paper. I'm gonna send the letter to the director of the George Washington Museum, and then put an exhibit there. It's gonna be an open letter. This is another open letter. All right. I'm gonna get their attention. My thing is to put this Moorish movement in the mainstream. You know, so we're not associated with some sovereign citizen, European, you know, BS groups. You know, when I went to Emily's Ford's house years ago, European, Emily's Ford, she attended one of the roundtable classes, and she would have classes at her house. Europeans would attend. A few of us would go. Well, I was there for the first time with it was 4 of us, 4 or 5 nationalized boys were there, and about 20 Europeans. And when I first got there, European males, they were welcoming me and, you know, all that, and being cordial. And once they were talking about, during the course of the class, the topic of Dred Scott came up. So I, you know, raised my hand and stated that Dred Scott, the reason why he had no rights is that he was plaintiff in error. He was classified as Negro, Moor classified as Negro, therefore had no standing in law because of that classification. Well, these same Europeans who were welcoming me and being cordial turned their back on me. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. I said, man, these Europeans, once you start talking about who we really are, as long as we say we're Negro, we're fine. As long as we say we're black and Negro and colored, I'm their friend. As soon as I say that we're not black, Negro, colored, and Moors, I'm not their friend anymore. Which means what? They ain't for truth. I already know that. I'm just saying that that's the experience that I had, that they ain't for truths. They for truth for themselves. As long as you say that, you know, yeah, you know, United States Republic, gold and silver is money, Federal Reserve, no, that's not money. So you just talk that. As soon as you start talking that we're not black, nigga colored, and this is our land, and we're Americans, and they're not, then they, you know. So I concluded
that they trying to use us to push their aims, you know, like they always do. But as soon as we start talking about who we are, then they're going to dish you. Because that's where the power is. As soon as you start to, one thing I noticed they don't do is talk. Europeans, these Europeans, they do all this research. They know what what Republic is. They know what constitutional money is. You know about the banking holiday. They know all this stuff. They know all this stuff. But they don't know that we're Moors. How the hell are you going to do all this research, all this other stuff, and I don't know we're Moors? Come on, man, please.
There you go.
Come on, man. Man, I don't trust them from the poorest. Man, please, I don't trust them Europeans, man. I don't. Yes, I'm talking.
I think that that's an experience of true racism, man against mankind. And for you to take, or us to take our rightful place, automatically moves into the background. So when a lot of times I hear people saying that, you know, it's not about racism and it's not racism. It's definitely racism. It's just not about colors. It's about the fight between man and mankind. And for us to take, simply put, that's why everything, I'm in 100% agreement with you about, they know all this other stuff, but they didn't pretend not to know about Moors. Because for us to take our rightful spot means that they have to take nothing.
They got to take their rightful spot.
Exactly. Which is not because absolutely.
They got to take their, which ain't moving.
Absolutely and positively everything comes from the land. And if you're entitled to no land, whether it be subterranean or in the air or whatever, then you have nothing. So it's not a matter of them having just a little less and sharing with us. When we take our rightful place, they literally have nothing at all. And that's the frightening part of this thing.
Well, all right, let's say this though, brother. There's history where we did raise them up. We were able to live with them, help them. We built up Europe. They came, we allowed them, you know, into our schools. We educated them. And that can happen again. I mean, it did happen. There's evidence of that happening. That did happen. That did happen. That did happen. We lived among them. You know, we taught them how to clean themselves. That did happen. That's a fact. You know, they're not in the same position now because they do take baths. And, you know, they got, you know, degrees and, you know, they're doctors and, you know, so forth, and astronomers and farmers, you know. So they are in a better position now than they were in the 700s, 800s. So it's different. I mean, you know, it's almost as, it's different because we're going to be seeking their help for education is concerned. Because they know astronomy. They know astronomy. They know astronomy. We don't. We know astronomy? All right, now, I want you to list some astronomers for me. Moors classified as black astronomers for me. There's one that works at that works at the what's the name in Philadelphia. There's one of them, Franklin Institute. There's one Moor classified black astronomer. There's one that works at the Franklin Institute. Don't name another one. I gave you one. Remember, you ain't giving it to me. I gave you one.
No, you saying, I mean,
Will they not be in the?
it ain't large numbers, bro. Trust me, fam. Trust me, fam. Cosmology. Remember, because we don't go to those fields like that. So to say that we don't need them, well,
No,
where's our astronomers and stuff?
I didn't say they are good farmers.
That's my whole point. Right, I'm just trying to be practical, brother.
No, I was just
we are not, our people, Moors classified as black, Negro, colored. We don't go into marine biology and the fields that really matter. We don't. It's just a handful. But we don't go into fields like that really matter. You know, astronomy and cosmology and marine biology and oceanography and
sciences.
The sciences that really matter. That you can really you can go anywhere in the world. Well, with marine biology, you go anywhere in the world. China, Japan, you name it, you go anywhere in the world. With stuff we do, where can we go? The fields that we go into, our people, degrees that we got, where can we go? Don't talk about degrees. I'm talking about degrees that our people have. Where can we go? That's the point, brother. That's my whole point. That's the whole point I'm making, brother. When it really boils down to survival for the real, bro, we in bad shape, brother. I mean, I'm just keeping it real, bro. I'm keeping it real. Now, now we was once there. We ain't there now. Europeans are there. Hey, as far as comparing us with them, we're in bad shape. Go ahead, sister.
I wanted to share. Let me see. Sorry.
We got a lot of degrees. But like the brother said.
Right. I'm sorry.
Like the brother said, we got what? Useless degrees.
I wanted to share just because what you're saying. This poem always comes to mind. It's a lot of people may be familiar with it, but it's by Anthony Browder. And I love that book. I have it from the Browder Files. But anyway, it's called Transition 13. And this is basically what you're saying. It says, we knew not. We studied. We learned all there was to know. We taught others. Then we forgot what we had learned. And then forgot we had forgotten. Now we are taught by those whom who were once taught by us knowledge that we already had. So we study. We learn all there is to know. We teach others. Will we forget again?
Did I get to there? So we got to get the degrees that matter, though. Yeah, we don't really get into fields that really matter, that affects civilization. That, it's like the brother says, useless. When it really boils down to survival, we're in bad shape. Because you need the sciences. We're talking about survival. We're talking about civilization building, you need the sciences. That's what we use.
We ain't have no group ethics. You need to, teach us how to get the loans and all the other stuff to get there.
No, I'm saying the field. No, I'm talking about the brother. Our people have degrees, bro.
I understand.
We have BAs, we got master's, brother. We got BA degrees, brothers. A lot of our people got BA degrees, brother, and master's degrees, brother. I'm just saying, like the brother said, useless though. I'm talking about that dealing with civilization building. That's what I'm talking about. Not that they can't make finance. Yeah, they make finance, 60,000, 70, 80,000. But those aren't civilization building degrees. As far as survival, as far as creating and stuff, we can't do that. As soon as the job goes, then we done.
Exactly.
That's why we don't have ethnic group to teach us how to be independent, how to get jobs and be.
I'm not even talking that, fam.
Well,
I'm not even talking about being independent group. Brother, I'm just talking about
I understand
having knowledge. All right. Marine biology. All right, example, marine biology. Whether you work for somebody else or yourself, you still got that knowledge. The knowledge ain't going nowhere. I'm talking about that. That's something that's functional. I'm just using that example, that field of science and math. That's what I'm talking about. Just talking about the knowledge of math and sciences. Just knowledge of math and sciences. We lack that, bro.
I got a question. How do you think that we get the youth? I mean, as a parent, I'm sure most of us have kids. How do we get the youth back interested in the sciences? Like, what is the idea of how to get these kids?
You got to
transform back.
Moorish communities.
I started.
Nationalized and conscious Moorish communities, where we have them from childhood.
My brother has like 9 kids, so with them, like I started with I'm starting with astrology, teaching them the 12 signs of your 180-degree polar because if you have your 180-degree opposite polar, you're supposed to be able to make a harmonized baby. So with that, it helps with the conscious community. And I'm just teaching them with astrology.
Right.
They're fascinated about it. Everybody, you get the text alert in your phone every day. This is how it's going to be. So teaching them that and how to chart their own will prepare them. I'm just trying to use what we have in the way that they use it against us. We just didn't know they was using it.
And there's also apps too. There's the children app, Starry children app, where they you can find out where their stars online with the app right now. You can find out where the stars online right above you. Right? What's that?
And then Arvin Bay, they have books pamphlets on there like for children to learn the questions and different definitions and things of that nature. So that, like I said, I'm putting together the summer tutoring program to help encourage the learning of that. So I've been talking to people and through different programs that I did growing up. So.
I want to help, sister.
Awesome. Really appreciate it.
Sister, you ain't got to pay me. I do. Sister, I'm telling you right now. Everybody listening. I'm telling you right now.
Well, that's what I was trying to
I'll
do.
do a pro bono.
I was getting the family members that,
I'll do a pro bono.
that have like different family members that have, everybody has something to offer. Like my mom, everyone has something to offer. So I have a cousin that went to school for electrician. My brother, when he was locked up, he did welding. You got somebody that does anything. So what I was trying to do is put together contracts so I can contract my family members, though they do pro bono a certain amount of hours a month to help. And by the time your turn come around again, you're more than happy to help. So I'm just, trying to find different ways to
I want to help.
To get everybody involved. That's really what it is, everybody involved. Like I said about the land, if you had the land and everybody live on there, not everybody, but you police your own area. So you don't have to worry about you sitting outside at night and they coming by talking about you gotta go in. I'm grown, you're not telling me that, I'm a natural person. And this is our area. Like they have Jewish communities, they got Chinatown. Like, why can't we come together and put that together for us? We all work.
This is where the nationality, consequences, all this is about. Like I said, that I'm gonna definitely get with Dr. Nailah about the brothers and sisters of the consular courts. let them help out with that.
Before I
That's-
give you the mic back.
We definitely need that. We definitely need those.
Run with it. I'm sorry. Run with it.
Before I give the mic back, when I was saying earlier that there's certain areas that you're not supposed to, let's see what I'm saying. I have the Moors Zodiac Constitution here, and inside of it, that's what I was. It's under Article 7. It says the Moors must never attempt to teach or lecture in the Christian institutes, namely church, temples, mosques, schools, and halls.
Guess, let me say this, sister. Let me say this. Let me show you this. I'll show you this book. Let me show you this book, sister. All right, here we go. I want you to read this right here. This is another book coming out. I want you to read that. Read that title right there.
My experience of teaching nationality to over 5,000 students in the Kansas City Public School.
Now, nobody's going to tell me, I don't care who they are. And that I can't teach my people. I don't care where I'm at. So I'm in the classroom. They ask me a question. Mr. Bey, what you got in your head? You know what, I'm not allowed to teach. You know, I really can't teach. Sister.
Well, that's different. If you're asked a question, you're expected to answer. Me, myself, I just,
I'm talking about, I taught them, I read George Washington's letter to over 5,000 students. I read excerpts of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship to over 5,000 students. I taught over 5,000 students that they're white. To over 5,000 students that they're Americans. The history, you name it, to over 5,000 students. In the Kansas City Public School.
Not disputing.
In the classroom.
Not disputing. I'm just saying, you know.
And I'm saying,
that's why
sister, I read the same thing you read, sister. And you know what I said to that?
So,
that's my point.
Well, where did that come from? Where did that terminology come from that she just read?
That's CM Bay, I think.
That's what it is. It's from, yeah, that's what it is, CMA.
And that's my thing. I'm gonna teach my people. And I was right in the classroom. I taught European teachers. I taught administrators, maintenance workers. I taught over 500 co-workers, Europeans included. I had to, you know what? I had to hide. I had to go upstairs. I had to go into an empty classroom because once you start waking people up, they want to know. And I couldn't even work on my book. I couldn't even go to the teacher's lounge because I had to hide because they was asking me questions every week. Sometimes I would run late to work class. I'm running, going to class. I'm Mr. Bey, come on. And I'm like, students in the hallway stop me. Yo, tell them, Mr. Bey, tell them that this is not $1. Mr. Bey, tell them that this is $1, not $1. Mr. Bey, tell them that they're white. Tell them, Mr. Bey, tell them that they're white. Students in the hallway. Students in the hallway took the lesson outside the classroom to the hallway. Word is bond. If I'm lying, may lightning strike me where I stand and I ain't moving. In the hallway. Now, I taught thousands of students, hundreds of co-workers, Europeans included. Now, once they found out I was working on books, man, I got teachers and everything, students included, wanted to know what I was writing about. And I had been in several schools. And I just talking about one school. And I would be in the school for 3 or 4 years. You know, so I read that too. That's me. Any other questions?
No, I don't have a question. I don't have a question, I have a statement. One of the things that I found to be very helpful is when I started on this journey, it came about the day I received my master's degree. One of the things.
What's your master's in?
Project management.
All right.
one of the things that I felt very empty, because one of the things I felt like I had went through a series of training and knowledge based on
I had the same feeling.
processes. And as soon as I was handed the degree, I realized that I didn't take the time to get to know who I am. And during that time period, this was 2012, I started sitting down and learning about who I am through the true holy science. And this is one, I carry this around with me. I started learning about the 4 gates, which is fire, earth, air, and water. Then I started learning about the houses, the different houses, which is called the disciples. And then after that, I started understanding that there's, within that, there's 4 holy seasons, which you touched on, the 2 main one, which is the June the 21st.
Summer solstice.
And which is the north gate, and the south gate, which is December the 21st. So when you posed the original question, did you celebrate Christmas? The natural mind will take you back to Christ's Mass, which is something that, as you start becoming aware of, no, I'm not celebrating Christ's Mass, I'm celebrating the rising of the sun, because you become aware within yourself the movement within you. Because before you get to understanding who you are as a Moor, you have to understand your connection to the earth. And so with that, it helps in your journey of knowing how the Moors were able to move.
I love this, man.
Because they were able to move first by the understanding of what occurred through Cush and Kemet, and then as they moved from there, they used their inner strength and power to be able to move in direction of understanding how this music relates to science, and how the language relates to sound. And that's how everything is formed. So there's been a break. I look at it as a house. When the Moors came, it's like we got all this vast knowledge. They came to us, and they worked and built through that. And I look at it as the house is being deteriorated. The house is still there. But sometimes you got to go back and re-secure the foundation of where it all started. And once we re-secure that foundation, we all have to collectively know, what's your gift? What's your gift? What's your gift? What's your gift? Because we all got gifts that we need to stir up. And that's how we move. My head can't move if everything else around me is one thing for certain. If my head is out of sync, nothing else will move. Nothing else is going to happen. So we all have to move as a collective body. And so she's talking about the things in her area. I'm pretty sure everyone got things that they would like in their own community. So each community got to, come together and be able to move as one. And then that's when you see the rise of our nationality becoming in its full strength.
And see, that what you're talking about is what I said, the astrology of the zodiac.
Right.
It tells you what, as your sign, what your attributes are.
Right.
How you thrive. And that's why I'm trying to teach the young children, because if they can do that, right. And understand your partner and the people that surround you.
Not only themselves, but the other person they have.
Right, that's what it is. See, and I touched on it here, and I just ordered the whole astrology set from RB Bay. I'm anticipating it to come. I can't wait, because I have to study and practice and get things together for how I'm going to come up with a curriculum to teach the children and myself, because I want to be able to chart myself too. Like understanding my sign and the person that I'm dealing with. It's like it's like kind of understanding the nationality. The veil has been lifted, and I can see and understand why things are. Now it's like, oh, okay, I understand that's part of the sign. I know to back off on that point. Same vice versa. You're understanding each other, And just like she said with the tone and patterns, I've learned about that with each. It was something about the throat is the chords, and the something is the drum, and I was all of that. It all comes together. And once you, like she said, you understand that, you understand who you are as a people, culture tied to the land and your heritage. Anybody, Mike?
Yeah, when I seen what the zodiac was and what the horoscope really was and the different stars and positions and the energies, something clicked for me is that that was a way that I can get to know my family and that's one thing. Like it's saying, government start in the house. So once we're knowing each other, who we are, how we move, then we can work on becoming a unit and moving out together because we know what we're already working with inside our house.
Yeah. See, and we have, and that's what we need, though. We need people who are going to, you know,
Active Moors.
Active Moors.
Islam, it is very important to understand astrology, and he's online here. Our brother Hassan Ghaziel is one of the ones that's really instrumental in making sure he always sends out information, you know, with regard to what day it is and the degrees and so forth. But even when you're entering into agreements and partnerships, not even necessarily romantic, it's good to know who's going to be at the table astrologically, and whether or not it's a good mix. And it's nothing personal, but it's what's in the stars. So once you know, if we started out like that, probably things would go a lot smoother, because not that you may not be able to work with this person in this group doesn't mean you're not a part of the family. You're just not a part of this group. And maybe your group is that group over there doing that thing, which when you bring it all together, it benefits the whole. But you won't work well in this group astrological because we're going to bump heads or something's not going to go right. And we should be doing that in order to make sure that we can make this thing work. Everybody should have his or her chart done, have their children's charts done. And you're right, sis, when you do know, when somebody in your mind is going left, you're like, no, that's just who they are. And then you can back off or change course direction. You can't change them, but you can change the way you look at what they do.
And one of my jobs may have to take everybody in the office take a personality test. And the lady that I got fired about, I don't even care because, Allah's good to me. I get more money than I was getting when I was working. But we bumped heads and we were letter for letter the same for the personality test. We had like a 15-year difference. We had an ethnicity difference, whereas though I'm free white people and she's, the black people, but we were letter for letter. And when things would happen, when incidents would occur, I would say, Charlene, I understand. We're letter for letter, the same personality, so I'm just gonna walk away. And in their eyes, because of my complexion, I'm supposed to be what she tell me? She told me that I discount, when somebody say something to you, almost like whatever, but she gave a word to it. And it's not that I'm like whatever, it's just, I pick and choose my battles. And if you come to me with something that I feel as though is redundant or not important, I don't mean to be, but your body gestures and face expressions reveal how you feel when you're trying to hide. That's why with your mom, you be like, what's wrong? And then you say nothing, your mom like, yes it is. Same thing. Running the country, working us with the zodiacs would maybe help come together with the council of court as far as that.
Well, I know that Brother Hassan has talked to me about having a class here, a Saturday. He's about some Saturday classes, and Sister Tamara and I have been meeting on some stuff, but one of the things that we probably will have here on a Saturday is an astrology course for people who want to come and really learn how to understand and to read their charts. And if not, like she said, sister ordered the astrology package from RV Bay. That's a good place to start. There's several. I think I have them all. But yeah, it's a good place to start, at least to familiarize yourself. But there will be class coming up on the Saturday for astrology for those. Brother Hassan, I know you're probably on here. Yeah. But we've talked about it, and we're going to try to make it happen in the spring when the weather's more predictable.
I just had a question for Abdullah.
Yes.
You talked about Great Seal earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't speak for them, but what are the possibilities of Great Seal extending an invitation to the Kingdom of Morocco as far as putting some matters on the table that really are overdue for being addressed?
What would be what would be one of the matters that you have in mind?
Their acknowledgement of the fact.
Acknowledgement that we're Moors?
Yes, as well as the treaty. Because as one individual stated on YouTube, he says no one's enforcing it. They don't enforce it from that part of the world. Internationally, nobody seems to be enforcing it.
This is what I do, brother. When someone makes a statement, I look at not what they're saying, but what they're really saying.
Mm-hmm.
What is he really saying when he says no one's enforcing it? What is he implying? That we should not, I'm asking, we should not put the effort to push for the enforcement? Because I don't know what that means when it says no one's enforcing it. So these brothers here, when they establish council of courts, that's enforcing. That's outlining the treaty. So we still got to put forth the effort. But to throw our hands in the air and says, well, nobody's enforcing it. All right, so what are you supposed to do about it? Let's enforce it.
Well, that's the gist of what I got from what he was saying was, okay, let's take some of the things going on right now. Okay, this country doesn't agree with this policy. Okay, here's a sanction against you for this, that, this and that. Mm-hmm. But what I'm under the impression that the gentleman was saying was, yeah, we have Moors here who are in courts and tribunals trying to enforce it, but from that part of the world, you know what I'm saying? They're not enforcing it. But listen, you guys, being that this is the longest unbroken treaty, you have to honor this to those people over there, but they're just not saying it from that part of the world.
No, I'm talking about the United States occupying power.
Honor the kingdom.
I understand that, but I'm saying the kingdom saying, listen, these people are who they say they are, the ones, of course, who are.
But I'm saying, but why do we need to, all right, I need that here. I understand where you're coming from, brother. But I need to understand why you are seeking their recognition. Why is it so important to you that the kingdom recognize us?
I'm only going to say that.
Because you raised the question, so that's important to you. And so that's an issue that's important to you. Why is it important to you that the kingdom recognizes us?
I'm going to say that based on the facts of the letter and how it says it was sealed and ratified over there, I'm going to be under the impression.
Where does it read that it was sealed and ratified over there? You got to show me that.
I think I have it.
I need you to show me where it was sealed and ratified with the longitude and latitude line. I need to see the longitudinal. I need to see the longitude and latitude, so we clear that they're talking over there. Give me the longitude and latitude. If I don't see longitude and latitude, then
I don't know if that's in there.
Well, how do you know? All right, you said that. over there, and they talk about over there.
Let me find that section, and you can break it down.
Now, you gotta break it down to me, brother. You gotta show me where it says over there with longitude, latitude. Show me where that is.
There's no longitude. I'm just treaty. Treaty sealed by the Emperor of Morocco, June 28, 1786, and deferred to the American agent at Morocco, June 28, 1786.
So where does it say over there?
Deferred to the American agent. So how did he?
You said where does it say over there?
Okay, additional article signed and sealed on behalf of Morocco, July 15.
You read that already.
No. This is
All right.
an additional
All right,
article.
go ahead.
That was 1786 ship signals agreement signed at Morocco, July 6, 1765. Entered into force July 15, 1786.
So where does it say over there?
Didn't it sign with the Sultan, and the Sultan was over there? He was over in the kingdom.
1786?
The Sultan was in the kingdom area.
1786. June 1786.
I'm going to go under the impression that yes, he was over there in the kingdom.
No, not impression. No. Not impression. Where does it read in there? Over there. The longitude, latitude lines. So that we're clear that it's clear in this treaty.
Okay.
They're talking about over there and not here. Where's that at now?
There is nothing in there.
That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making, bro.
The lies is true, bro.
I'm saying is you made a definitive statement that talked about over there. So I'm like, well, where do you get that from? Because you have to show me there's nothing in there that you can show me that they're talking about over there and not here.
Now, what would you take by it says ship signals agreement? What do you take from that?
We control the seas, brother.
But I'm saying
we control the seas. We looking at even 700s, 900, 1,000, 1,200. We had trade with China with the silk trade. We control the seas. Brother, during the 15, 16, 1700s, we were seizing European ships. Not on land, on sea.
So you're saying definitively that it was signed over here.
No, you said that.
No, I'm saying that based on what
I was asking you, where is that? Because you made a definitive statement, and I wanted to know where you got that from. How to make that definitive statement that they're talking about over there and not here.
Okay, so I'm under the impression that you're saying that it was signed over here. And if it is, is there any record of that? As you would say, the longitude or latitude where it exactly was signed?
I don't know where I didn't say I had longitude and latitude. I was just challenging your claim.
But I'm asking, would you know a place of record where that could be found? If
that they're talking about Morocco here as opposed to Morocco there.
Either that or where exactly it
Now
was
remember,
signed.
that was established in 1956.
That's true.
I mean, so.
But also the empire extended into that area.
And I was saying it is here too.
Yes.
Yes.
So.
And the Empire State. Where's the Empire State?
What's known as.
That's what why did they call it the Empire State? New York. Why do they call that the Empire State? That's the seat of the Moorish Empire.
So maybe they have records there somewhere, possibly.
Well, there's records here too. I mean,
but no.
But I'm saying, well, I don't. Once again, why are you seeking their recognition? I mean, why is that? Because I mean, it could be, because it's not important to me, doesn't mean it shouldn't be important to you. Brother, it's not important to me.
Okay.
Brother, I'm so busy trying to bring our people up here that I don't even have time. And we trying to put together this council of court. I don't see them you know what? Them brothers ain't gonna be going over there asking them for no recognition. We don't need their recognition. If they want to help, that's fine. But they ain't helped yet. It's been 105 years. Now you gonna wait, if you're gonna continue waiting another 105 years, that's on you, brother. Go ahead. But it's been 105 years, man. 105, man. You see where the help at yet? Where's the help? You got records of their helping? Teaching helping, or running help with funding, help fund. I didn't get no funding from the newspaper. I put out 4 of them already, so it's near time from them. I ain't holding my breath. There's something to think about, though, that's all. We doing just fine. If you want help, help. I mean, I said you can seek their help. I mean, that's something you want to do. I mean, I'm not against you doing that. I mean, you know, if you think it's going to help.
Well, one of the things that on the RV Bay site, they had a letter written that during the early 20s, Saudi Arabia, I want to say Egypt, and I think another 2 countries, they had established that yes, we were the descendants of Moroccans born, okay, here in the Americas. And then after that, I guess the Depression or whatever, they kind of like walked away from that whole recognition of that fact. So I'm just.
That was about what, 100 years ago?
1927. When I got the paperwork from that.
Almost 100 years ago. Almost 100 years ago. You gonna wait another 100 years? I'm just saying, but I mean, if you want to do that, that's not something that I, am motivated to do. Not that you shouldn't do it. I don't want to discourage you. I'm just saying I'm not something that I'm motivated to do. I don't think we need their validation to exist. Like, we don't get it, so therefore we ain't Moors. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we don't get their validation, therefore we're not Moors.
But it's been validated.
I'm just saying that what's the reason for you seeking their validation that you're Moor or something? You don't need them, their validation. Now, if they want to help, that's fine. I'm open to that.
I'm just more concerned with the, how you say it? It's just the fact that we're kind of trying to do, the fight here is more like, it's trying to do it from the inside out, that's not a problem necessarily, but it's like you're not getting any help from the outside world either. You understand what I'm saying? And the little help that you do get,
What little help do we got from what little help?
Well, as you pointed out, the rights of indigenous people.
Right.
That's a little bit of help.
Well, the American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. Mm-hmm. We have, all right, they have not reached out to us.
Okay.
Cultural Survival Incorporated have not reached out to Moors in the inner city. Cultural Survival Incorporated, they deal with the fake Indians. The Cultural Survival Incorporated does not they're not recognizing those in the city as indigenous people. We have to bring that issue. It's there, let's use it. Let's raise the issue that the millions of indigenous people live in the cities. It's been, that only the indigenous people live on reservations, which is not true. We have to raise that point. I do have a letter that's in my American or United States citizen book to Cultural Survival Incorporated. I'll be reaching out to them too. That they acknowledge that Moors classified as black, Negro, colored, African American, Latino, or indigenous to this land. We are indigenous people. We have to raise that point. And I don't think it'll be a major issue once we raise it. No, we've been having these Negro leaders saying that we came on some ship somewhere. Like they're more of a mouthpiece. They're more heard than we are. That's right. They're more heard. Our sharpness in them are more heard. That it's almost like they speaking for us. That we're blacks and coloreds and African Americans and we came on some ship somewhere. We gotta knock them out the box, though. We gotta knock our sharpness in and out the box, though. They don't speak for our people, though. Our sharpness in them, whatever, Farrakhan, whatever you want to, they don't speak for our people. We ain't come on those ships. And we ain't black, nigga, color, so they don't speak for our people. Anybody who's saying we're black, nigga, color, do not speak for our people. I don't care who they are. Anyone who say we're black, nigga, color, do not speak for our people. They speak for the Europeans. They represent the Europeans and not our people. They're pushing the maintenance of the European slave trade. They do not represent our people. You cannot represent our people by saying they're black, nigga, color. You came on some ships somewhere. We got to challenge them. We got to challenge them. And that's who they're listening to. So they're listening to.
Islam, brother.
Yes.
The only way to truly combat that mind control that's been put on the nationals is to teach them about where they came from, teach them about their legacy and
we know what you, brother. You already know what you, brother.
Now, would it be better? Because I do agree that we do so much within, and I think that it would be almost a greater show of force against the corporate state that is keeping us within chains to then also reach out to the other, not necessarily the other corporate states, but the other tribes and nations. Do we do that? On,
yeah, we would.
A national level.
You could do what El Mosi did too. What did El Mosi do? They called Malcolm X. On what, the African Union? You know what got him killed, right? You know what got El Mosi killed? He was going to put the United States on trial. He was pushing for that. He formed the African Union. That's what they was pushing for, putting the United States on trial in world court. For human rights violation.
And so that has not been done.
And
since.
he was, the thing is, he was not acting as an individual. He had organized. He had organized African states. He was no joke. He was, brother, he was not doing this. That meant El Malik made a power move. A power move. He was no joke. Yes.
Islam, I'm not sure of the brother's name, but along with what you're saying, there was another very powerful brother over in Africa that was assassinated maybe either a few days before or after. He was assassinated because he was associated with that power move.
Stephen Biko?
No, not Biko. That's not his name. And I looked him up, but he was. Gosh, it'll come back to me. But he was involved with. He had met with him, and it was like 2 or 3 days either before or after. He too met his demise. But he was from Africa.
Patrice Lumumba.
No.
Yep.
So it was a lot going on that we didn't know about.
Yep. So just keep in mind, Malik was doing that outside. So what do you want to do, bro? I'll say, all right, hear me out, brother. I need you to hear me out. You don't need if I say to you that's something that I wouldn't want to do, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Just hear me out. You have to, I want to urge you to follow what you think is right and what you think would help. If you think that would help, do it. Do it. Let me say this from my experience. If you are waiting around if they say you have an idea and you're seeking people's support. But let me say this, brother. Please hear me out. Never base whether you're going to do something or not do something on whether you're going to get people's support or not. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you think that needs to be done, my daughter, do it. One of the mistakes that I made early on, that I would base whether I was going to do something on whether I got support. I don't think that way anymore. I don't think that way anymore, bro. I have an idea, brother. I'm going with it. Now, I would let people know what I'm doing, but I'm not going to base. Meaning, when I put the letter, I'm not basing what I'm going to do on whether I can pull it or not, bro. Do it. You'll get the support. Do it. A lot of times you just got to do it. In fact, Dr. Nailah, when we talked about this a few months ago, is that you just got to just do it.
That's right.
And then as you doing it, you gain the support. A lot of times, if you're talking about it, you gain more support once people see, they see a product, they see that you're moving forward with it. Then you get more support by doing it that way. And that's just from personal experience. I'm sure Dr. Nailah, she and I talked, and she had the same experience. So, do it, bro. That's what you think is needed, do it. That's my advice to you, bro.
That's my last question. This is going to be our last question.
Yes, it's 10:39, 10:09, yes.
Yeah.
Say the best for last. I'm magic anyway.
Right on, brother.
Check this out. So I'm glad you said that, right? So I'm a distributor for a company, which is my company called Inspire. We have a product called Cherish, which is for women's feminine flow. All right. This right here is all organic. Has a negative ion.
So we're advertising.
Huh?
So we're doing an advertisement.
Not advertising.
I mean,
but we educating because this is all for our women.
I know, but people know about that. But I would prefer we not do an advertisement.
I respect that. Okay. All right.
We can do it off camera.
All right. Yeah. I didn't bring that.
Okay. All right. If that's
all right, that's it. Well,
okay. Not trying to. His name was Pio Gamo Pinto. His name was Pinto. P-O-G-A, and then his first name was P-I-O, middle name G-A-M-A, last name Pinto, like the car.
Your car. All right.
Yeah, and he was involved with Malcolm X, and he also, it says, when the African-American freedom fighter Malcolm X visited Kenya in 1959, he found he had a lot in common with Pinto. They planned a common strategy to deal with the daily humiliation and indignities suffered by both Africans and African Americans. Malcolm X was assassinated on February 21st, 1965, 3 days before Pinto. That's some history that a lot of us didn't know.
I want to thank you again. Moors of Masonry, go to moorsofmasonry.org. All right, Moors of Masonry, moorsofmasonry.org. All right. As I said, upcoming book, Masonic Compass, a square, the connection to timekeeping and measurement. All right, thank you again. I'll see you the second week of February, right?
That's right.
All right. Peace.
Peace. Thank you all for tuning in.